How you doing, jerk-offs? I'm sorry for the delay. I know I'm a little bit late this week, but I have a very good excuse. I was skiing. That's right. For some reason, people want to go skiing during the day and see comedy at night. What kind of comedy? Apparently me. That's who they want. They want a young man who is very unused to ski resorts and French people to come in there and remind them that there is a world outside of the chalet, which I insisted on calling a chalet for most of the time I was there. That was just a little bit of fun for me. But no, that's where I've been. I am sorry. It is genuinely quite hard to get a podcast away when you're in the mountains. I was at Maribel, which is in the French Alps. I'd never been to the Alps before. It was my first time on the Alps. It was cool. Very, very weird place. A lot of money, probably too much money, I think. Like, everyone just kind of had like a wealthy face. Like, you know, in ski gear, you can't really get much of an idea. Like, you know whether they own it or whether they rented it, but just their heads implied a level of their parents' financial success. And I found out about these people who are called seasonaires. Now, a seasonaire is a person who spends the ski season on the slopes working in a bar, maybe like working as a host in a chalet or something like that. And then they kind of get days off and they just spend all those days skiing. And then at night, they finger each other, drink a lot of alcohol, and take ecstasy. That's as far as I could tell. Those are my observations based on my 4 nights with them. It was a cool time. I did a couple of shows in these little bars at the base of the mountain. Some people are wearing ski boots while you're performing comedy, which was a new thing for me. I was there with previous guest and general champion Phil Nickel. He's a veteran of the mountains, and as a Canadian, I was very intimidated to have to ski alongside him. He snowboarded because he's cooler than me. I ski because I will eventually have more money than him. That's pretty much how I figure out the split between skiing and snowboarding. It was good fun, a nice little perk. I got to say, the audiences and stuff and like those people were like super weird, mainly because we were in France. Like, I flew into Switzerland, into Geneva, and then I was in France, and not a single person in the crowd came from anywhere but the UK. Like, as you ask, you know, you're like, hey, is anyone here from blah, blah, blah? Not a single person outside of the UK except for one South African. Not a single European was in there. Don't get me wrong, you see Europeans on the slopes and stuff, but definitely none in the comedy. So that was interesting. It felt like you know, I was getting a little Brexit trailer. I was just kind of, this is what it's going to be like when they're not around anymore. Obviously, that has kicked off a little bit. I think we've enjoyed with our Brexit series that everybody kind of assumed they'd be fine, but then in the last week, what has happened is everyone's kind of realized we might not be fine. I think that's the funniest bit. Everyone's like, no, of course, it can't be that bad. And then now it's like, oh shit, actually maybe it's just going to be that weird no deal thing where people don't get insulin and no one gets tulips. Those are the 2 lead news stories that I've taken on board. If I'm underinformed, that would not surprise me. But I figure let's take a little bit of a break in that programming from the Brexit thing, because we have had a little extension there. I do want to chat to some more European comedians, but I thought, why not kick things off with this week's episode, Dane Baptiste, ladies and gentlemen. Dane Baptiste, a comedian who is kicking goals goddamn all over the world. One of your most in-demand comedians in the UK, doing shows everywhere, popping up on the TV all over the place. Plus, he has just sold his TV show to an American company. Some of the Wayans brothers are going to be developing it into an American TV show. You know that thing where Americans, they kind of like the concept of a TV show, and they're like, hey, instead of kind of using what was already there, what we're going to do is make sure everyone has an American accent, because that way there's a possibility Americans might watch it. And that's what's happening with Dane. And Dane's been a friend of mine for a while. We met back in Australia doing some shows together out there. Super interesting dude. Always a very reasoned opinion, I think. Like, a very articulate and a very well-read guy. Like, he's just like one of those dudes who seems to have already thought about everything, which I think is fair given his podcast is called Dane Baptiste Questions Everything. You can go check that out as well if you like. A really good chat with him as a man of Caribbean origin, growing up in South London. He definitely gave me a perspective on growing up here that I had not heard from any other guest. Plus, we get into it a little bit about online culture. As Dane will tell you, he is like a practicer of troll judo. That's what he calls it. He likes a good online discussion. Just looking at him do that makes me tired. But hey, very interesting to talk to. Get excited for that chat. We're about to dive into it. But beforehand, just to let you know, a couple of shows coming up. April 5th, I am doing a preview of my new Edinburgh show at 2 North Down, which is just next to King's Cross Station. You can find all the details for that show on my Facebook or on the 2 North Down website. It is at 8:15 p.m., 50 minutes, new material that will eventually make its way to Edinburgh in the August. That's locked in. Plus, on the 7th, on the Sunday, we have our next Australian Comedians Dope Comedy happening at Backyard Comedy Club. Always a great night. This time headlined by my former schoolmate, Steen Raskopoulos. Steen Raskopoulos, absolutely killing it in comedy. He does one-man sketch shows that have received rave reviews all around the goddamn world. And he's joined by Alice Bryan from the New Zealand and Nick L. Ray, who's an Australian comedian who spent a lot of time in the UK. So that is the 7th of April. Tickets available to that on the Backyard Comedy website or at Design My Night or at Ticketext. You can grab those. And for those of you who like to keep up with the pod, please get around our Twitter account at The Union Jackoff. We give all the episode updates there. Give you some news from any of our guests if they're performing anywhere or they're putting any content out. Very easy to follow. It's growing fast, so get involved at The Union Jackoff. Or as always, you can get in touch with me at Dan Muggleton, DanMuggleton. Or you can email muggletondaniel@gmail.com. Get in touch. I'd love to hear from you guys. And every time you email, I promise I will reply. Keep giving us those 5 stars on iTunes. Currently 5 from 5, which I adore. Otherwise, jerk-offs, ladies and gentlemen, anyone new to the pod who's here to listen to a bit of Dane Baptiste, let's fucking rip into it, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, my chat, the very interesting Dane Baptiste.
So the guy had this thing where he was like, oh, great show. When I buy you a drink, you remind me of my cousin. He's colored, etc., etc. Now, some people are triggered by the use of archaic terms like colored.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like when you take that into the entire context of what this guy is saying, he's like, giving me kudos, which he doesn't need to do, and offering me to buy me a drink.
Sure.
Most racists aren't going to part money with someone that they have contempt for or they perceive to be inferior to them.
Yeah, right. And not in like a way that isn't kind of...
Yeah. It'd be more like, here's a tip, park my car.
Yeah.
Park my car, Carlos.
Just like, good job, and like give you a $5,
so,
and you're like, what?
Again, tonality will let you know if you're being condescended to or someone's being, complimentary.
Of course.
Whereas, I remember going to university and being in Leeds and the bouncer being like, oh, you'd enjoy the club down the road because they play R&B there. That's much more racist and prejudice. That's more... it's racist and prejudice because the prejudice is the fact that he assumes I could only like R&B.
Yeah.
And obviously the race being the door policy, which is like, no black guys.
Yeah.
So
this is where you guys go.
Yeah, it's where you guys go.
But he's saying it in a slightly nicer way.
Yeah, a nicer way, but what you're saying is the same thing. So I think like even sometimes if you say something, you shouldn't feel offended or you shouldn't be worried about causing offense. Even if you do, like it's still an opportunity for you to learn. Like you can make the mistake and not make it once. It's like I knew a girl when I was working with and we'd always flippantly like a joke and be like, your mum or your mum.
Yeah.
Like, as you do. But she's adopted. So the joke doesn't really work for her. She doesn't take it as well. So she's like, look, I'm cool for like banter, but no, your mum jokes. So it's like, fine. We just removed that from this.
That's a line.
Yeah, it's a line.
Just a very easy personal line.
It's a very easy personal line. So exactly. So it's bespoke. So I'm like, I can make jokes with her all weekend and take the piss, but she's just saying that's her one line. And once you know that, then it's fine. And I just think, even with the names thing, you can sometimes it's a learning process. And I think that's the problem is that now in this time of, I guess what people refer to as identity politics and shit, and people are a lot more sensitive, is that I don't really subscribe to these ideas about identity politics and stuff, but I feel like the idea that people are more concerned about postulating who they are and what makes me distinct from other people. I think part of that is the complex you get from being on social media because it's such a wide world and distinguishing yourself is impossible.
Because you're trying to be a destination.
Yeah, and trying to.
I need some adjectives.
I need some adjectives. Who am I, and what makes me different to the sea of this collective? In this collective consciousness, how do I stand out?
Yeah.
But by the same token, that's why I guess we have so much conflict on social media because, as a social species, we shouldn't really be making declarations about what separates us. It's more about what we have in common.
Well, if you look at like any human rights movement forever, because I've had this discussion before, it's all like, hey, let's all be equal. Let's all treat each other the same. And then social media is all like, hey, I'm not the same. This is what you refer to me as. And if you don't, you're a jerk. And you're like, whoa, what? I thought we haven't even nailed the equality thing yet.
And you notice this is normally when the people that are outspoken or social activists in the I guess the initial stages of their ideology or their movement, like if you look at someone like Malcolm X, for example, the narrative was very separatist with the Nation of Islam, or like, you know, for, I guess, Martin Luther King's would have been more of had its roots in more Judeo-Christian kind of values and stuff. So the whole non-violence thing. But what happened was, as they're going on, there begins to become a convergence where it's like we're all equal. So in the case of Martin Luther King, he was on his way to you know, an anti-poverty rally, not just for like just black people in general, but an anti-poverty rally for everyone that's affected by like, you know, financial inequity in America. In the same way that like after Malcolm X went on Hajj, he was like, I will still continue to be a Muslim, but he was like, we're all equal as Chechen Muslims, white and dark.
Because the whole thing it was in the Hajj. So I read the book. I just remember that passage. It's like they're all my brothers, but like because they're all Muslim. Yeah, they're not. Yeah. So some of them are white
from a spiritual perspective. But then he also forms a secular organization, which is the Organization for Afro-American Unity. Yeah, which again means that So my point is that you normally notice it's when people are like. At first, we're like, well, my people need to be respected as well. And that's the identity politics. And it's when it begins to converge and they're like, I actually want equal quality for everyone. And that's when it's nice. That's when they get killed.
That's when they get killed. That's when they realize.
That's when they realize. When they realize we're all the same. And you even transcend the whole self-determination and the identity politics thing. Once you start thinking, we're all the same, that's when they kill you.
Yeah. So that's why all those people on Twitter are still alive.
But you notice how most people on Twitter and their inclinations on Twitter, that's who they are very much reminiscent of when we were a lot more of a polarized society. Yeah. But the same person who's the racist troll is probably sitting next to you on the train, not even giving you the slightest indication that they are opposed to you. But it's just these incarnations where people like trollism is
I want to talk to you about trolls because This is a weird way that I follow you. I pay attention to your little adjectives on Twitter and stuff because I remember initially it was about Naruto. Mm-hmm. You referenced Naruto, and that was very exciting for me because, like, in Australia, I'm like one of like 7 people who got around Naruto. I think
I would have thought there'd be, given the size of the Asian diaspora in Australia, it'd be a lot more popular.
It's true, but they weren't at my school, so what are you gonna do? But yeah, so. You know, I didn't know anyone who like read Naruto or looked at Naruto and you said Naruto,
love it.
And I was like, what the fuck? How'd you get into that? And he was like, no, it was big.
It was big. No, it's big.
People
and surprising. Like the first, like I kind of was aware of it, but the first time I heard a lengthy discussion about Naruto was in the barbershop.
Really?
Yeah.
Just chilling and
and this guy was like, you ain't gonna believe, man. The first Hokage, that motherfucker uses wood, and I was like, what are they talking about? And so.
Yeah, because like there's a bar down the road and like it's an R&B club. I think you'd say. Cool. And they during the day they have like the TVs on and sometimes they're just playing clips from Naruto.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, fuck, there we go.
Amazing.
There we go.
Do you like Boruto?
No, I couldn't really get into it.
It takes a while, but once you get into it, it's pretty good. It's quite complicated, but yeah, for me, it's not the same as Naruto, which I get because. I guess you can't tell the story exactly the same again, but
that's it. They escalate. That's like one of everything I've noticed with any Japanese kind of art. It's like about the escalation. Like it's never just like we're gonna stay at the same level telling different stories. Or like we're gonna fucking escalate this thing.
Yeah, Dragon Ball's got to be Dragon Ball Z, then Dragon Ball Super,
and then GT.
I mean, we say GT, but a lot of time, you know, people like to remove GT from the canon.
Yeah. But like, you know what I mean? It's like. The power, like they can't keep using tactics, all right? They just have to have longer and longer hair.
I think exactly. I remember. I think Goku's power level when I first saw Dragon Ball Z was like maybe 700 with all the weights off.
Yeah.
And then I think by the time he fought Frieza like as a Saiyan is like 1 million.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That was it. Yeah.
It's like, initially, like, you could probably do long division on the number.
yeah. But now,
And then at the end, you're like, oh,
I
jeez.
think by the end he was like, I think by the end of Dragon Ball GT, I think it was like 140 million or something ridiculous.
Yeah, just so high. But
so
that's how they do it. Like, that's their vibe.
Well, they say that the influence of that comes from Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
What? Why?
So, the
why is that?
aesthetic of like enormous explosions and
Right.
clouds and like a lot of when the Japanese depict like battle in like manga and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like because they do a very good job of it. It's because obviously they've seen what a ridiculous fucking explosion looks like.
Yeah, that's
firsthand.
that's like cultural.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so nuts because you can just that's a very fair link that I would have never thought of.
Yeah.
I'd just be like, no man, they just fucking
influence,
they just dig flying and blonde hair.
Yeah, even
That's all.
but there's also the Western influence of the fact that you find most characters, given I guess the typical aesthetic of a Japanese person, like the characters that's supposed to be quite benevolent, innocent, have very, very wide, almost European eyes.
Yeah.
But when people are becoming very focused, then their eyes narrow a lot more, and they appear to be a lot more Japanese.
Yeah. Well, that's like Naruto, the good guy, blonde hair, blue eyes.
Yeah.
And then like
Goku goes
Yeah.
Super Saiyan with blonde hair, blue eyes. But then when guys are really good or they're the cool guys, there is no mistaking that they're Japanese.
right.
Because Saiyans are Saiyans, but they're definitely Japanese.
Yeah. Right.
As is Sasuke.
Sasuke, yeah.
He's very
yeah.
Japanese. As is Monkey D. Luffy in One Piece as well.
Oh yeah.
Which
Like
is
the cool ones are like, we're pretty fucking
Definitely,
cool.
they're definitely Japanese boys. It's like for all the other characters, as crazy as they look, the main protagonist or the anti-hero in Sasuke's case will definitely be appear to be Japanese.
Yeah, it's funny because like over here, there's just not as many Asian people. And when I say Asian, I mean I guess like the UK, East Asian. I think.
I guess you say
think
East Asian. I think we distinguish a lot. I guess our description of Asian people is a lot more nuanced. So you will have the separation of. I guess you'll have Indians and you'll have Pakistanis and then you'll have Chinese.
Yeah,
al. However, Japanese are al. But whereas I think, and then if you're a bit more clued up, depending where you live, if you're from some like the Midlands or like the North, then you make a distinction between Punjabis and Pakistanis and Gujaratis, you've got Sri Lankans, and then again you can probably work it out by region as well. Like Tooting has a lot of Sri Lankans and Southern Indians, and northeast of here, like Gants Hill has Gujaratis, Leicester is Sikhs, Oldham and Bradford are Pakistanis, Southall I think would be like. I think it's more of a mix of Indians, but also like Bangladeshis. A lot of Bangladeshis in like East London as well,
Right.
like East Ham and stuff as well. So
before I use your extensive knowledge of the UK, I want to get into this. I want to stay on this troll thing a little bit more.
yes, of course.
Because what is it in the description? Like troll
judo.
Troll judo.
Yeah, troll judo master.
What is this? I see that you respond to a lot of things, which I look at and find exhausting, even though I'm not responding to it. I'm just seeing it.
And by that response, I think I'm learning to use more internal techniques. So troll judo was a self-defense technique I created to deal with online vitriol, which involves a series of blocks and takedowns and counters.
Sure.
Based on trolls' vicious tweets.
Was that they're directed at you? These were tweets
sometimes directed at me,
or just
sometimes
in
directed at me,
general?
sometimes amusing, which I know I use as baits for trolls. So like sometimes I do throw out like troll bait for them to latch onto, and I think it stems from it comes from more principle whereby I've grown up in an environment whereby if people don't like you, conflict is very real and very physical. I'm not saying myself directly, but as in I guess the overarching narrative for me is that like these trolls are trolls because they're cowards.
Sure.
So if anything of their nature seems to imply racial hatred or aggression or microaggressions or threatening behavior, my thing with most trolls is to I guess remind them that you're doing this because you're a coward.
Sure.
Like this is not who you are, and if you believed in your convictions and you were this passionate about your ideas, then you probably would be able to show yourself. And I think like anyone who's genuine about their belief systems, and they should be able to stand behind it if you believe in your convictions. And if you think about most of the iconoclasts, like the ones we were speaking about before, whether it's like a Martin Luther King or a Malcolm X or a Gandhi or a John Lennon or like even a Bob Dylan or a Janis Joplin, or the list is endless. But most of these people, we know who they are. It's like, whereas if you look at the more malevolent people who are...
They're in the shadows.
In
they're
the shadows,
part of a
yeah.
greater group.
They're hiding, or, you wear a cloak, or you wear a red hat, or
Yeah.
you obscure your face, and it's like, well, why would you hide if this is who you are?
Right.
And if you believe in it strongly enough, you'd stand behind it.
Well, that's like one of the weird things when you watch those Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, like kind of footage of those times. You just see like white people like yelling at the black kids going to school.
Yeah.
Just like no mask on.
You're
like, what are you guys crazy?
Because it was weird. It seemed,
but then you guys got to work.
But at the time, everyone who they were working with looked like them, so they were okay. Whereas I guess people can't get away with it. But then to an
extent,
extent,
just imagine just like there's a black guy and he's like pointing behind him like in a photo. I'm like, well, that's the end of that.
If you think that's chilling, imagine being an African American knowing there was pictures of people being lynched when it was legal to perform these murders, and there are kids that would have been present at those lynchings, who'd be adults today, or younger people who'd be adults today. Who have been sitting there being accessories to murder. Like today, that would be called joint enterprise. If you were present at murder and didn't intervene or did anything,
exactly,
arguably that's joint enterprise. Especially if you're taking pictures and pointing and stuff. So it's like, there are like murderers or people that were accessories to murder or who were involved in a killing, still walking around today with no reprisals. And you look at something like the Nuremberg trials and why they definitely exist. Even if something happened 60 plus years ago, if you were present at a genocide, you still have to stand trial. Where it's like it's very in the US doesn't really happen, and there's still people walking around today who got away with it. So
because when do you know that when lynching was no longer
this year?
What?
Illegal? You mean?
Yeah,
this year. No, end of last year.
End of last year. In what state?
Oh, federal now.
Oh, it's federally.
So now a federal law has been made that lynching is legal, but that happened like last year.
What?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Fucking happy last year.
I know, right? Last year.
Wow.
Last year. And I think even at the time, I mean, it wasn't necessarily be legal to commit an act of murder, but normally the justification would be an accusation of rape or whatever, and that would always be the justification. Which was weird because at the time, white women weren't allowed to vote. So it's kind of like, I mean, you guys say you
trust their opinions on some things.
Yeah. But
not everything.
Not everything, but yeah. Which is like most people.
Ugh.
Yeah. Opinions is a great way of bringing it back to trolls because... that's the comfort blanket of the troll. I have my opinions, which is basically nowadays someone saying I don't have any facts to support what I'm saying, but my ego gives me the.
I have a lot of baseless thoughts.
Yeah, I have baseless thoughts that have no root in any kind of scientific or historical basis. But it makes me feel better about who I am, so I'm going to keep spouting them.
But so do you think like as like a black dude it's like more kind of in your brain like the troll thing, like because I just genuinely check out of it for my just mental health. No,
you're right. I think you go the right way.
I don't engage with online shit really at all.
It's good. No,
if I wasn't a comic,
it's the right way.
You
wouldn't need to. Yeah, exactly. And
I
mean, I've spoken my stuff and it helps, but I think at the same time it helps. I look at it as helping my brand. But one of the reasons I do, because it's like, I mean, you might as well be aware of who I am, so there's no surprises if you come and see me in real life.
Sure.
So that's part of it. Another part of it is like, there is a consideration of being a black man in terms of the fact that I just look at I guess I look at it as a long-term strategy for my career, whereby if you get to a certain point or you reach a certain profile, then people will want to do research on who you are. And the thing is now, obviously you've seen a lot of people are now having their previous tweets and some of their thoughts very scrutinized.
Yeah, man.
And it's, causing some people, it's been detrimental to their careers. So some of the stuff I say, I'm like, I said it and I stand by it when I said it because I guess I anticipate at some point, given the importance of Twitter, people will start looking back on your musings and stuff you said, because a lot of the time when we do I guess reflect on iconoclasts, you do look at like their quotes and their speeches and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
And I think we're in a time now, obviously people read a lot less in that form, so I guess that's how they will build your context, is based on the stuff you said. So I do consider some of the stuff I say and how I'm going to stand by it. And sometimes if I was ever taken to task over my tweets, then I'd be able to give an explanation. So I guess it's been strategic. And also because...
But have you deleted anything? Is anything...
I've got something else to delete stuff after a certain amount of time. But then I still think people will still be saving stuff and giving screenshots. But it's fine. I mean, I just don't give a shit, Daniel. I'm just like, well, I said it. I've never been somebody to be, I can't believe... I won't give you a reason why I said it. It's like, I probably didn't say this to offend somebody directly. But if I did, it's probably because you're a prick to me and fuck you. And it's not going to change because it's been brought up. Like, fuck you twice. Like, I said stuff to Piers Morgan. I've said stuff to like, he's responded. I've said stuff to Geraldo Rivera.
Okay.
I've said some stuff to him as well, which I don't regret. Like, fuck Geraldo.
Yeah. Well,
What an
look,
embarrassment. But no, but I at the same time, for mental health, I
Yeah.
definitely dialed it back because
'cause I just think it's stressful.
it's very stressful.
And
Because
you're
and the
kinda
most stressful thing is, it's like,
engaged in it.
this person is such a prick. And then you get to the point you're like, I want to punch you in the face, and I can't. So it's like,
yeah.
So
So the thing is like that because they're letting it water off a duck's back. That's how I think of them.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause they're like, well, we don't actually care what we're saying. We're just pushing the button.
well,
And
it's-
then you're the one
yeah, yeah.
walking around being like, I'm gonna kick
I'm
a
gonna
pigeon.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And I'll never take it out of a pigeon. But it's at the same time, you're like, oh, this guy's such a prick. And you would, and the thing is, and it's also, it's like, I realize how the folly of it, because I'm like, if I was on a bus
Yeah.
and this person was talking like this,
Yeah.
I'd just be like, I might be like, hey, shut up, dude. But after that, I'd just be like, that person's life is devoid of any joy. I
Yeah.
don't care that
Then you
person
get off
is.
the bus.
And I'll get off the bus. And I wouldn't think about them again. I'd be like, that person was crazy. Laugh
Yeah.
about it with my friends and keep it moving, happy that I'm intact psychologically. I'm
Sure.
like that person. But yeah, you fall into the trap of thinking like, because it's cemented online, that it carries any significance. And it doesn't at all. And I found the more I relax and the more I don't engage, then A, it helps my mood. And B, you give them very little to work with, because I think for trolls,
They need stuff.
they need stuff.
They need
And
you
you
to
realize
produce
that.
content.
And it took me a very long time to realize, because I guess you don't want to be like, oh, you're a bit famous now. You're on TV, so and I get a lot of survivor's guilt, and I don't want to feed into that narrative.
Sure.
But by the same token, it's like, especially if someone sees you have a verified account on Twitter.
Okay. The tick makes a difference.
The tick makes a difference, yeah, because
Okay.
because then they can be like, this verified person, I've wound them up. This celebrity couldn't take it because I mean, that's the whole thing of the zeitgeist of today, is that as technology's advanced, like the mindset or the consciousness has regressed. So it's
Yeah.
the same as like if you were it's basically being in the stocks
Right.
and having all of the peasants, these mud smeared faces with teeth missing, being like, hang him, cut him up, and like
Right.
the people that like throw
Is that
rotten
kinda
fruits and stuff. Like
I would have never been near this dude.
You would never-
before, and
exactly.
Now he's at my mercy. This is
exactly,
great.
and they love it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's like I didn't realize it's like, because you don't know anyone's identity. It's like, I would never argue with a 14-year-old over rappers and stuff. It's like, your mum still buys you underwear. Like,
Yeah.
who cares what you think? But there is some weird equality because the internet democratizes everyone's voice.
Well, you got like the same amount of characters, right?
Right,
So-
yeah. So even though we don't have anywhere near the same level of knowledge or wisdom or experience, but he has the benefit of anonymity, and maybe if he's an adolescent, much more time to do, because he has enough else to do with his day. So I'm slowly realizing that it's like, you work to get to a certain level of profile, and while I don't want to be an egotist about it, it's like, you are above engaging with these people. Because this is all they have. Like, I'm not on here because I want to do stuff, but this is all they have. And some people, they thrive off that attention. And I imagine most of the people in school who you're like, the loud person, the emptiest barrel makes the most noise. That's what my dad always used to say.
That's a good
Yeah.
saying.
This is it, yeah. And
Good-
that's the same
good
thing.
from Mr. Baptiste.
Yeah, yeah. And he that's the thing. And it's funny because if my dad knew about social media and my conduct on it, he'd be like, this is classic Dane, because he'd just be like, I don't care. It's way too much time to waste on people. He would never engage to that level. Like, my dad is somebody who could listen to LBC all the way to work and
Yeah.
barely react.
Wait, what's LBC?
So LBC is a talk radio show in London,
Sure.
which stands to, I think it's, well, as you can imagine, London or loud brash Caucasians. I don't know. But
Something like that. Gotcha.
something like that. But it's a show where it's like, it can be very polarized, and people calling like, hello, I drive a van every day. And it's that kind of thing.
Like
So
talk back.
yeah,
What
that
should we
kind of
do
thing.
about
Talk-
it?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
call
What should we
in
do
there,
about it?
blah,
Well, they
blah,
keep
blah.
coming over here. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
They're like, I'm not racist. Oh, better turn it up.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
You know, this is gonna go.
Yeah.
So he can listen to stuff like that and
Feel nothing.
feel nothing. Or but he's just so in control of his emotions. Whereas I'm like, who the fuck is this idiot?
You want to call in? You're
Yeah, I'm
"Hey."
like, who the fuck was that idiot? And so I'm learning not to be so emotionally invested in these things, because they just don't matter. And also,
But do you not find this is the thing? Do you not find that the stage is like?
Exactly.
I used to be much angrier before I started doing comedy.
Exactly.
I used to drink and just be fucking the angry guy.
Yeah.
And then now that I do this comedy, I'm just
You're
kind
so
of dumb.
relaxed.
I'm just kind of.
you don't care. And
I
that's
yell
what-
at strangers.
And that's what's so funny, because like, when I'm on stage, I'm so relaxed. I cannot be rattled by anything. I'm just like, like people like, I never get pissed off on stage, but it's the same principle, because none of you are going to be a threat. And when I leave the stage, I really don't give this any more thought. So
Yeah, I'm walking out the back door. You guys are still in here.
yeah,
Catch another time.
Exactly. But I think as well with I think the trolling thing, I think a big part of it was just me. Some some form of what's now referred to as virtue signaling. But it was just like, also I used to see a lot of people who would become, I guess, very upset over Twitter abuse and stuff like that.
Right.
And so I guess
You wanted to...
especially a lot of my peers and stuff. So I always make it a point of principle where I'm like, all right, well done. You can intimidate young women and bully them and threaten them with sexual assault and stuff like that. But I'm not scared of you.
Right.
I can do this all fucking day.
So you're putting like a flag in the ground.
Yeah, just that, you know, just and that was it. I think it was just more of a principle thing. Where I was just like, you can do this, and you can intimidate young women and threaten them and people that will respond to you, and you can call people cucks and liberals, but I may be liberal minded, but I'd crack your fucking head open. Right. So I want to make sure you're aware of that, and that you're a coward, and you know you're a coward, and you would never say this to me in real life. Yeah. And then 2 weeks ago, I did a gig called Comedians Unleashed.
Yeah, that's down the road.
Backyard
Comedy Club.
Friend
of the podcast.
Yeah, good gig.
Home of the Australian Comedians Comedy Show.
Yeah, it was a really good gig. Yeah. And Andrew Doyle invited me down. Ria Lina was on stage, and the idea of the show is to, like, you know, provide, I guess, a safe space for uncensored comedy. Yeah. And I mean, I've never felt I'm particularly censored in comedy anyway, but it was a fun gig to do.
I always find that weird. It's just like, just like you can finally say all the things you wanted to say. I'm like,
so I was doing it anyway. Yeah.
What haven't you been able to say?
Yeah, that's what I mean. What haven't you been doing? Yeah. What did you need to say? And so,
like, dude, you don't have to talk about your head. You can talk about whatever you want.
Anything you want.
You made a choice.
Exactly.
To be a pussy.
Yeah, basically. So the issue is not other people. It's your cowardice.
Then like they're the people who like would rally against a safe space more than anyone.
Exactly.
And they're like, but now I need a safe space for my opinions.
Exactly.
And,
and what they mean is that I want to be able to disrespect people without being punched in the face.
If you want a safe space, say whatever you want. Go to Australia, bro. We can take it.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's fine.
Everyone's fine, and if you don't like it, you get punched in the face. And I just think, but it was a fun gig. But I remember, apparently a lot of people at UKIP were in the audience, like UKIP supporters were in the audience.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which I didn't realize until after the gig. But then things added up afterwards.
Because
of two jokes.
Is that when the guy called you coloured?
No, that was in Salford. Salford is also a pretty racist part of Manchester as well.
Okay, sure.
So he was cool, but no, they would call me. I think they would call me much worse. But
right.
Two jokes I have. The first joke, which I get, is aimed at comedians who used to try and normalize racism by being like, oh yeah, my granddad's a bit racist, he's just old. My nanny's racist, he's a bit old. Yeah. And it's like, do we know that for sure?
No, that's like Instagram filter, make it black and white, then it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so exactly. So they would create this straw man.
It's your voice,
grandparent.
bro.
It's still your voice, right? Yeah. And it's like, you know, you're very comfortable speaking to a room full of strangers, so you could very easily speak about your like if your granddad was a fucking paedophile, I'm sure you would say something and be less inclined to be like, yeah, but you know, he's just old now.
He's just old, eh? That's,
yeah,
you know
how they are. You touch a kid, he's a Catholic, like you'd be less inclined. So I have a joke where I'm just like, you know, well, fuck your nan too, and I'll slap your nan with my dick as well. And it usually does well, but this room they were just like,
in the safe space for uncensored
comedy. In the safe
comedy.
space for uncensored comedy, they were a bit like, my nan. I was like, yes, your fucking nan.
Especially your nan.
Yeah, especially your nan. Like, I'd happily.
Your nan's the only one I've done it to.
That's right. I'd actually tie your nan's tits in a reef knot. How about that?
You know knots? You got some knot knowledge?
That's that one and a highwayman's hitch.
Oh, okay. I was just like, I got no knots. Didn't go to scouts.
Reef knot, yeah, a reef knot and a highwayman's hitch, and maybe another hitch if I put my mind to it. But really, those are the only two you need.
Okay. Well, look, maybe after this.
I'll show you a reef knot. That's not
please.
hard at all.
I need this kind of stuff. I'm useless.
Yeah, highwayman's hitch is a lot harder, but it's a very useful one though. If you ever have to tie your horse up and perform a robbery.
I mean, as an Australian, all the time.
Right?
Bushranger culture.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Don't appropriate my
it'll come in handy.
Horseback thievery. That's my culture. That's what I do.
Horseback thievery.
That's my. It's the
best way.
It's my indie record.
Yeah.
Daniel Moulton, Horseback Thievery.
That's a great name for a fucking record.
Thank you. I would have made such a good piece of shit hipster. I think I already kind of am. Like I'm like right on the borderline. But if I really lent into it,
by yourself.
I'd have a cafe by now. I'd play there on the weekends.
Do you want tattoos?
None.
There you go.
No tats. Won't commit. I refuse to. No piercings either.
Really?
Nah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's like it just. Yeah, I like being pure vanilla. You know what I mean? No sprinkles.
That's being individual. That's it. That's supposed to be the thing. That's your distinguished thing.
Slightly more fun.
Yeah, I mean, I got nothing against body art. I mean, body art, I don't mind. Tattoos, because tattoos, like everything else, fell to the capitalist beast, and so.
Well, yeah.
You can almost carbon date people now based on their tattoos.
Well, it's just like, yeah. How did baristas, tattoo artists, and barbers all decide to look the same.
I know.
Like fucking back to back to back. You're just like, you're the same person 3 times.
Yeah.
And you all shop at Urban Outfitters. Why?
Right. And who is the more creative of those 3 subcategories of hipster? Would you say?
Tattoo. Gotta be tattoo.
Yeah.
They're quite talented, a lot of them.
They can be very talented.
Yeah.
I think for some tattoo artists, it's got to be like passed down through generations.
Mm.
And also, I guess for you to be able to draw on skin is a real good skill.
And there's like different techniques and stuff. I had an ex-girlfriend who had a watercolor tattoo.
That's cool.
Like it looked like watercolor kind of art.
really
And I was
cool.
like, that's interesting.
That's really cool.
That's not a tribal tattoo. That's a great move. You
This
should
is
do
it.
more of
There's
that.
something about the carbon dating because, like, you know, I guess someone was born in the 70s, they may have a flower of some description or a dolphin.
Yeah.
You know, an 80s baby, you know, she's either going to have maybe a panther or some Chinese writing.
Yeah.
Potentially barbed wire on the wrist, on the arm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
90s
yeah.
baby onwards might have some Arabic, maybe some stars.
Like the arrows. That's a
The
big
arrows is
thing
the newer one.
with
yeah,
my
yeah.
gen. Yeah,
That's also
like
like
just-
the 90s babies, yeah.
The
like
little arrows and
stuff.
shit.
You got the swallows as well.
yes. Why? Ugh. Anyway.
They all have meanings, but the thing is, it just for me, it's very easy to carbon date somebody. So when someone's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm 27," people who are 27 don't have barbed wire around their arm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you start to work out like
Like a-
people,
like a-
people
like
actually
a-
have medieval don't have medieval writing. they don't have Gothic writing. Like it's very
It's like any dude who's got it like just on the forearm. It's like he's definitely 60 years old and he was in the Navy. Like, just like-
and it's green now.
yeah, it's
Whereas if someone has a sleeve tattoo, it's like you've never had to be in a war.
no, absolutely not. That wasn't in the army, bro.
Or you're in a war where the team you're on is massively outmatching the other team.
Yeah. You're Man City versus fucking Salford.
Yeah,
There we go.
You wear a football kit on holiday. Yeah.
Wait, so where we you know this is vaguely about the UK. Where'd you grow up? Where was your spot?
My stop was Lewisham, southeast London.
Lewisham.
Yeah.
I know.
Blue Borough.
Yeah. How and when was this? This is 80s baby.
80s baby.
What?
Yeah.
What's that? I only know gentrified South London,
Yes.
but I've been told even Shoreditch not long ago was kind of rough.
Yeah, it's kind of Borough. Yeah, Hackney was a fucking shithole, mate. It was quite a rough area.
Because
And,
I've been like 5 years, maybe 5
Yeah.
years of knowledge.
So it's.
So I just know it as this.
I didn't spend a lot of time around here for the same reason because it was
Right.
quite rough. So Hackney was like it wasn't really easy to walk into Hackney being from southeast London.
Right.
But then it's like where I live in South London. It's actually quite a unique one in that people would argue it's gentrified now,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, for me, like I grew up in like Hither Green. Hither Green is quite a nice part of Lewisham, but it's very close to Catford, which is also pretty upper working, lower middle class.
Sure.
But then you have Lewisham Central, which is obviously quite working class, and then that has like New Cross. And then in New Cross or in Deptford, you have the Mill Hill Estate, which is like one of the biggest estates in South London or in London in general.
Right.
So there was always like cultures and different classes on top of each other. Because I'm about 15 minutes away from Blackheath, which is very well to do and like, you know.
Sure.
So it's
Bit of a mashup,
so it's
a
always
classic
been a,
London
it's always been a- yeah,
mash.
so it's always been a mashup anyway. So for me being very
What-
close to being people from working class and having a lot more humble backgrounds and from council estates to people that, you know, are living in places where like houses start at £1 million. So for me, like
Did you all go same school? Was that
sometimes, or you'd be close enough. So I went to a grammar school, which is a nice school.
Yeah, I went to a grammar school.
yeah, it's a nice
grammar,
school.
spelled with a A.
Yeah.
A, sorry.
Haberdasher
A.
Asks was a nice school. I went to
Okay.
Haberdasher Asks, and you know, but it's a very nice school with an entrance exam and the like, and it's a part of the Haberdashers Company, which is like a company of various private schools.
Ah.
So it was almost like their little outreach school, and then. But we were like a 5-minute walk from another school, which was at a time called Hatcham Wood. Then it became Telegraph Hill. I think now it's called Crossways. So the fact that it's had to rebrand several times suggests that it didn't do well with Ofsted. So there's things. So you're always
Yeah, McDonald's isn't changing its name every couple of years.
Exactly,
you know?
yeah. So
This is
exactly-
not a popular school.
Yeah, it's not a popular school. It's not
Trying
doing
to
very
rebrand.
well. Trying to rebrand, trying to start again. So
Yeah.
you know,
Hoping
like
to
jonglers, more like jonglers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the jonglers of schools, and
For anyone that doesn't know Jonglers, UK comedy chain.
yeah, you took a comedy chain that's not
roughest.
done very well. It started off great. Like jonglers used to be
Ah.
a great way because it was a chain club, and like if you got in, like for me starting out, like jonglers was
It paid a lot of people's mortgages.
yeah, it has. I mean, it wouldn't pay my mortgages at the time, but it was
Yeah.
because it was very saturated. But it was definitely covering my expenses, and of which there were not so many, but were enough that they were very tough.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they used to, you know, it's my food, travel, cigarette money is pretty much
It's all Jonglers.
all jonglers for the large part of it. Like I depended on that, like 200 here and there, and because they were doing so well, they expanded with a like a super club group, and so places like which most people in the UK might know, but like your kind of chain clubs like Flares or
like Prism and shit.
exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. I've been to some trashy
Oceana,
places.
yeah,
since I've
trashy
been-
places. Are
Yeah.
they? Depends who you ask. I don't judge people, but
I do.
trashy.
They're trashy. They're trashy.
Yeah, they're trashy. Yeah, it's like Tiger, Peso Predatory. They named it twice. It's just, but that kind of thing. So they moved into
Yeah.
all these super clubs, which aren't really purpose built for comedy,
Sure.
to do the numbers.
And then
And so they overtraded. So which meant they started seeing the loss in business. So as the
Right.
brand begins to decline, then they start booking like subpar acts that are prepared to perform and
Mm-hmm.
have them bring people down. So then the brand started to decline more and more, and they stopped paying like acts and stuff like that.
and then went down.
and then went down. And so
But
they
now,
so it started off being really good.
yeah,
And then, now not so good. And Hatching Wood, I mean, I don't know if it started off good.
we can't
I
speculate.
can't speculate. But, I mean, if you were to become a gang member, then it was good. It was like an academy for you. And, they...
all the heroes are there, like little posters on the wall.
in
like
some,
at a comedy
some
club.
ways, yeah.
I remember him, man. That was crazy.
you cross off who's dead or in jail. But, and I got some friends from there, so I was all right. But
Was it that rough? Is it like, because
Oh, my sister used to work there, and I think one teacher was like sexually assaulted by pupils. So
whoa,
that helps,
okay.
helps you gives you an idea of how rough it was.
You got to remember, yeah, like Sydney's just a very safe place.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
Like
so,
it's just even the
yeah,
rough
Hatcham-
schools are like,
yeah,
yeah,
Hatcham
the
was pretty
kids
rough.
the kids there were a bit chatty.
Oh,
You know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that
I
was-
see, yeah. No, this school's fucking rough. Like,
Yeah.
as in like, violence and weapons and shit. Like,
Yeah,
it's-
yeah.
it was closed down several times. And then obviously they're looking at my school and they're seeing kids come out with like briefcases and shit. So it's like watching like
They're
zebra.
actual briefcases.
Actual briefcases. So if you're coming to a school like Hatcham Wood at the time, like you're like a lion looking at wildebeest at a watering hole like every night. So
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you're
yeah.
seeing people getting robbed and stuff, and it's like, wow.
I guess.
I want to help. Yeah, so it's terrible. And it was an interesting school, man. Like, yeah, they had, but it was still a diverse school. Like they had like,
Right.
black gang members and triads and
They had lots of different gang members.
yeah, because we had to share a bus. So,
Sure.
Yeah. So for me, it's fine, but for some kids, not so fine.
Not so good on the bus.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, you have your mum. You'd prefer your mum to do the school run with you after
Right.
you've been mugged a few times.
Is it like that kind of thing? Is it safer to be like a black guy? Or is there
I
a
mean,
racial
it-
hierarchy?
It depends where you are, because then I had some friends who went to Mallory, which is an equally rough school, but that's near to like Downham and Mottingham and Eltham, which is referred to as the Nazi Triangle. So, so
Why is it the Nazi triangle?
because that's where all the white racist gangs are.
Jesus.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So that's like
What is-
working
what is
class
it? What
white.
is this? Prison documentaries? What the fuck?
No, but this is how bad it was. This is what I mean. So when I grew up, like,
Wow.
people think it's bad now. All this happened now is that there's a lot of people that just put on top of each other. But when I was a kid, especially from Southeast London,
Right.
biggest gang where I was from were the Ghetto Boys,
The Ghetto Boys.
and they were hated by everyone.
Sure.
So if you go to Peckham or you go to like Camberwell and you say you're from Lewisham, then everyone's like, so you're a fucking ghetto boy, because their reputation is so fearsome
Right.
that like everyone hates you no matter where you go. So it's like,
Weird.
so like in Southeast it's like, and then they had Peckham Boys, and
Okay.
so and then my dad, and
As
my dad
always,
actually-
gangs, very creative names.
yeah. Well, the reason why is because gang members themselves, they don't make it the whole sensationalized thing.
Right.
It's like, we're just some guys from, this is where we're from.
Right.
So like my dad was like, he's a broccoli boy. Or when he was growing up, he'd have been a broccoli boy. That's where
Sure.
he grew up. But he was like, when he was younger, like they had a rivalry with Peckham Boys, because it's like, in the same, no different to like, Tottenham and Arsenal
Yeah.
fans. It's the same area, but it's like there's a friendly rivalry.
Sharing an area. There's a
Sharing
rivalry.
area, there's a little
Done.
rivalry, yeah. So but then what happened was, he said once the drug money was introduced, then it becomes a more of a fatal kind of rivalry.
Sure.
Whereas before it was like a friendly rivalry, you'd like Peckham Boys and stuff, and you're like, Peckham Boys, blah, and made fun of them. And whereas, yeah, so then it becomes a lot more serious. But then when I grew up, Lewisham and Peckham didn't get on.
Mm-hmm.
So, and neither did Camberwell. So basically, Lewisham Borough versus like Southwark Borough.
Mm-hmm.
Then Lambeth, which is Stockwell and Streatham and Brixton,
Yeah.
don't get on with Southwark, but then they also don't get on with Lewisham. And then Lewisham didn't get on with like Woolwich. So it's like Woolwich and Plumstead and stuff.
Mm.
And it's fine. If you're involved in that, then it's obviously very limiting for you to not be able to leave your postcode. Whereas for me, I'm not going to be involved in that because I've got like friends and family from different parts of London.
Sure.
I've got friends in Peckham. So,
You don't want to just stay in your own.
but
Little
it's-
postcode
some
the whole
people, like
time.
if you grow up in the postcode and you grow up in a particular estate, then yeah, you don't really travel that far because you can't really go there. And it's almost, and like I said, this is generational.
Sure.
So like I said, it's not, they don't sensational. It's not like, oh, I'm going to get into drugs and I'm going to be, it's like if you watch your uncles deal drugs and you watch your dad deal drugs or
Yeah.
it doesn't. It's normal to you.
Yeah, it's normalized.
Yeah, it's
'Cause
normalized. Yeah,
everybody
it's
knows
not
doing
crazy.
it.
Yeah,
So,
everyone else is doing it. It's like this is what you learn around the house. So
yeah.
yeah, you don't see it as weird. It's just legacy. So I know a lot of people like that. So it was, but like I said, in Hither Green, I'm not experiencing that in Hither Green. But then Hither Green is like 15, 20 minutes away from Eltham.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where like the Eltham Craze are.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't know that.
Oh,
a
the
lot-
Craze. They're
So
the...
the Craze were from East London originally.
Yes.
But because their name was so big, they had a lot of ties in like South East London. Because South East London's a very interesting one because we're on the other side of the Blackwall Tunnel.
Sure.
So the demeanor is like it's kind of Cockney,
Right.
but not exactly.
Sure.
So yeah, you get
And
like
Cockney gangs were like, that was the thing.
it does. Yeah,
Like, but in like
London,
the
yeah.
six-
Firms they were called.
60s?
Yeah, firms. Yeah, 60s. And then it's like they're kind of still around,
Right.
but it's not as outspoken about it.
Sure.
But also because of how big they were, 60s, 70s, then like a lot of the white gangs would identify as like Craze and stuff like that. So they named themselves after these old firms,
Right.
or they refer to themselves as firms. But again, yeah, for guys that are really involved in it, don't really sensationalize the whole thing. And then
Yeah.
I think around about like early noughties, like it started getting quite bigger, and people were involved for the sake of being involved. And then I remember there was just like a war between Ghetto Boys and Woolwich.
Mm.
And then it got so intense that people just started dropping off and going to prison and whatever, and it kind of died down. And then there was a big brief period where people were wearing colours, like in the States,
Really?
which again doesn't really work because we're just kind of past it. It's the same reason why like colours and gangbanging is more of a California thing, and it's spread throughout America.
Yeah.
But again, it's like
But it's never to the same degree as it is.
no, because it's just, like I said, it's ingrained in culture in California, but it's like I wear red and I'm in a gang. So what do you do in your gang? Well, we sell drugs and we do your things. Well, you could do that without having to change your wardrobe. So
Yeah.
it doesn't really carry
And
the
the
same
police
kind of
actually
weight.
don't look for anyone wearing purple.
No, well,
Have they
exactly.
considered
Well, it
purple?
depends, unless you're a Grape Street Crip.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why they started wearing purple. And
Yeah.
the police started looking for people wearing purple.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, or the new power
So
generation.
it's like you think I haven't just trolled through Wikipedia at some point.
Who
avoiding
hasn't?
doing
I
an
used to do that
assignment.
at work all the time, man. So
Yeah, you just
but
gotta be like, what's going on? What's going on in Compton? Let's figure that out.
yeah, so let's figure it
Um,
out. But it was but growing up, so. And I mean, so that's why I guess when I look at stuff like Twitter and stuff like that, I guess find it quite laughable. Or I guess why I've been so proactively involved in trying to expose cowardice for some reason, because I was like, you have no idea about what hostility is as an environment.
Yeah.
Because South London.
It was
I mean,
rough.
it's rough. It's still got the reputation today to an extent. Because
Right.
even when I was a kid, like Croydon was kind of a neutral because it was so far out.
Sure.
So, but then now, Croydon is quite close to Thornton Heath, and that's kind of rough in places as well. So, but I mean, and I guess it's South London, because South London technically is everything south of the river,
yeah.
whereas north of the river you have East London and like North East London. So you'd have like Hackney and Dalston, and then North and East London used to have their rivalry as well. So like people in Tottenham didn't get along with people from Hackney,
Sure.
and then you had North West London, which is even like Kensal Rise and like Stonebridge and Harlesden. That was pretty rough as well.
I've just never even been to that part of London.
Yeah, so Northwest was pretty rough as well, and West London was not particularly rough. But then Shepherd's Bush and Ladbroke Grove were pretty rough as well.
Right.
So, and the things when you're a kid, I think your opportunities for socializing in so much areas they're so much more narrow.
Of course, because you're not just like...
Because you're going to school, you're going to other places where kids of your age are going to be anyway, and it's all other adolescent
it's not just like a bunch of
boys.
people living completely around the city, working completely around the city. So
No,
always just
you're
kinda
focused in the same place. So you take it a lot more seriously if you're going to be in trouble with it, because your path and your opportunities for social interaction are very limited. Whereas now it's like, as mad as stuff goes on, I rarely see things because I'm of an age now where I don't have to interact in these same kind of social paradigms. And
That's the thing, you're just not
You know, so-
there.
yeah,
You know?
yeah,
I
you're
remember,
not
like,
there,
as a
exactly.
kid, like I grew up in this area called like Bode, which like kind of had like some shifty people, like
Yeah.
the Australian level shifty people. Not
Yeah.
very shifty, but you know,
hey, it's all relative.
it's all there.
It's all relative.
But no, you just like you'd be aware of like who was kind of in which bit, and then like I'd
exactly,
go through
yeah.
there because like it's near where my mum lives still. So like go there as like a 25-year-old, and you're like, look at these fucking kids.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're just kids. But I mean, but my advice is, if you're dealing with what are called youngers here,
Youngers,
don't call them kids,
don't call them kids.
because you can't call a 16-year-old boy a kid,
Why not?
because where gangs are concerned, he's a fucking adult.
Oh right. Okay.
So if someone's 18, you don't call them a kid.
sure.
As far as they're concerned, whatever they're doing, they're going to a big prison. So as far as they're concerned, they're a fucking man. So
Right. That'd wind them up.
That would wind them up massively.
Wow.
I mean, because alpha male displays are a big part of gang culture. So
yeah.
if you call an 18-year-old a kid, he's going to want to prove to you that he's not a kid.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so
Why?
it's-
By like getting a credit card? What?
Maybe, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll be back here with a mortgage so fast. You gonna fucking see, old man. But yeah, I mean, but yeah,
I got
it's-
lower back issues.
well, this is it.
How
Yeah,
you
I
dare
got
call
a
me
few,
kid?
some health issues. I'm struggling with diabetes, adult onset diabetes. But you know, it was like, yeah, the bad old days were fucking crazy. And there'd be places like, like Brockwell Park in Brixton.
Yeah, right.
Like people
yeah.
go there for like music festivals and stuff like that. Like when I was a kid, that was the fucking Coliseum.
Right.
Because it was like, you've got gangs from Lewisham, Peckham, Camberwell, Brixton, Stockwell, Streatham.
Right, just in that bit.
Yeah.
That was the bit they all tried to have.
Well, I mean, not trying to have, but it's like, they're going to be there, so let's see what the fuck's up. And
Right.
then- so you need to know when it's time to leave. Then you got Woolwich Boys as well, and that's an enormous, and they became like an enormous gang as well. And this is just South London, mind you.
Yeah.
Because once you go past, like in East London, you know you're from South East London, then that became an issue as
Right.
well. And then, I mean, it gets complicated. And that's if you're involved, because even some of this, I only just hear, like,
Right.
in passing.
But like you weren't involved. You were just like kind of friends with people who were involved.
'cause
Or
I
grew up
wouldn't
with
be
people who
involved.
were
So,
involved.
I mean, because like I said, it's like, for some people, like I said, they don't really think about it as like, I'm in a gang, and it's like I said, that's just a way of life.
Yeah.
And for some people, they think on the fringes and it looks fun and they get involved. Those people are idiots.
Sure.
And then for some people, it's like, for myself, it's like, there's no reason for me to be involved in a gang because I don't have to be in a state where I've got to defend my turf where I'm going to be at risk. And also, like, I'm more scared of my parents than I am of any gang member. So it's like, we're going to go do a robbery. I can't get caught doing a robbery.
Yeah.
Because if I get caught stealing anything, just leave me in prison. Because if I go home, I'm dead anyway.
Yeah.
So I'd rather
The
stay
police are going to call my parents, and
Yeah,
that's when
yeah.
my real problems begin.
Exactly, yeah.
Sure.
Exactly. So I'm like, they'll be like, I'll be like, you can't protect me. So I'll stay in prison. Thank you very much.
The police like witness protection, please. Why? Like my dad is going to be
Exactly.
fucking.
He'll find me and he'll kill me. But
Yeah.
but for me, so it's like there was no real reason for me to be involved in something, especially where I guess, the idea that I can't go to Peckham and see my friends because of where I'm from.
Yeah, it seems dumb.
It's dumb.
Just like,
Yeah,
why-
you can't go anywhere. Yeah.
Why am I limiting my roaming
Yeah,
in London?
Exactly. But at the same time, you have to be careful. You have to know where to go and where not to go. I think if you're from South London, like I said, it carries certain connotations anyway.
But like, surely like if I kind of rocked up in one of those areas, they just think I was like some lost tourist.
Yeah, they wouldn't think about it.
Yeah, they wouldn't even.
Yeah, they wouldn't think of it. And that's the weird thing as well. So the
Yeah.
whole gentrification thing is very weird because I'm like, I look at somewhere like Amersham, which is South East London, like New Cross, very hipster now.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I see someone with like Beats by Dre headphones, when I was a child, if you had £150 headphones on your head,
Yeah.
they're coming off.
Right. Somebody's grabbing that immediately.
Straight away.
Mm.
Straight away. When I was a kid, depending on who you are or what a gang member thought you were, if your trainers were like 110s, which are like Air Max 95s,
Sure.
coming off.
Right. And these days,
These days, I guess the culture has changed within the generation. We're so more consumerist focused that it's seen more as you being able to afford to buy stuff. I think
Right.
means more, and also a lot more CCTV, but it's more seen as that the fact that you can afford to have stuff is seen as more of like
it's not so much having it; it's that you can afford.
it's where you can afford it. Yeah, it's not having it; you
Right.
can afford it. But then but it does happen again. Again, I'm probably a bit more disconnected because it's like when I was a kid, the idea that there's kids walking around or standing in the queue at Supreme to buy £400 jumpers or £300 jumpers. Your cup runneth over if you're a gang member. You wait until they leave, and it's like, all right, I'm taking all these bags.
Yeah, right.
That's how it was when I was a kid. It just the idea that
But these days, they be in the line.
they be in the line, or they get someone to buy it for them, or they be trying to buy something else. Or I mean, really, gang members, they don't give a shit about Supreme. If like middle class white kids' mums are buying it for them, they're not gonna wear that kind of thing. They don't really care.
Come on, man. My mum just wanted me to look fly.
Hey, of course she does. She does. Whereas this guy, he has to make crack money so that he can afford to buy furniture for his mum. So
Yeah,
yeah,
different
it's
vibe.
very, very different vibe. But yeah, it's
But wait, so where are your parents from?
my parents are from Grenada, so they came over
Grenada.
in 1967, and this is what I mean. So they have again a lot of my friends when I was growing up, their parents were born in the UK.
Sure.
So I'm
So are you
second
first?
generation. I'm
Second gen?
second gen, yeah, because they weren't. I think I say what so they weren't born here and they came here.
So you're first gen.
So I'm first.
First
so I'm
generation
first
born-
generation. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Isn't
Born
it?
here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. That's always
yeah.
confused me.
I'm gonna say you're right
It's a
because
fucking-
I had this conversation recently, but I think you're
Yeah,
right.
it's
So
like
a lot of my
in-
friends are second generation.
Right.
So their grandparents are from the Caribbean
Yeah.
or from Western Africa.
Then they had their parents were born in the UK.
So they're a little bit more liberal about things.
Got less scary.
You got less scary.
And then they
Yeah.
fuck around.
And they fuck around.
That
So
goddamn second gen.
Yeah, exactly, second gen. So exactly, so liberal with them. So like they don't have like curfews and stuff. Whereas my parents are like, if you're out before you're 18, you're back at midnight. So again, it's like there is no like breadth for any kind of misbehavior.
Yeah, there's no gang window.
No, there's no gang window.
Just like, guys, I'm down for the gang between
To a point.
8
To a
p.m.
point.
and
Yeah.
midnight.
This is it. But again, but then the guys I grew up with who would have grown up and graduated into doing that kind of thing. Again, when we grew up, it was never like we're gonna be. They would never speak. I'm gonna be gang members and stuff like that.
Sure.
Again, it's just everything they see might be normalized. That's kind of
move
criminal.
that way.
Most people that are involved in that area want to leave because growing up in an area where your mind's being discombobulated by police sirens all the time, very hard to sleep. High frequency sounds make you fuck up your emotional disposition.
Yeah.
So most people I knew want to get out, which is why I was very resentful of people that wanted to be on the fringes of what they perceive to be like street culture. Because I'm like, I know you're from very similar to where I'm from. Whereas these guys, because my mum was a youth worker as well.
Okay.
So I spend a lot of time at like youth clubs and stuff. And I'm like, you don't understand.
Is that like through church or just secular?
Sometimes, but it's more secular, so it's more government. Which
like
you don't see a lot more of them now because of cuts. But so my mum used to work at there was one youth club in Turnham in southeast in Brockley, another youth club on Lethbridge, which has now been gentrified and turned into flats. But you know,
oh mate, you can turn anything into flats.
it's anything to flats.
That's my class's gift to the world. We'll take fucking anything.
You can turn
we'll
anything
turn
into
into flats.
Yeah.
Oh, we got this small driveway. We're gonna get 3 flats out of that. We can get 3 flats out of that driveway, dude.
You could get a few flats out of your
We can
juice
put
and
3
stuff as
flats
well.
and a carport. Fucking carport in the flats.
Can always work, man. It's always work. I worry though about the whole flats thing. I watched this anime once called Appleseed.
Appleseed.
You remember that one?
No.
It was like one of the first generations of like the old manga
Yeah.
when they first started like dubbing mangas into English and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's from the same generation of like Fist of the North Star
Okay.
and like Project AKO kind of thing, Akira.
Yeah. That's real kind of gritty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So real kind of
Gritty first gen Japanese anime.
Yeah.
Oof.
So it's really hyper violent and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And but an Appleseed was really not that violent. It was kind of depicted like it was cool like robots working for the police and stuff and sort of and like
Nice.
like AI, but at the same time it was like they were just trying to control like this real recent spat of suicides from people that were just so it was so developed like where they were living and people living in high-rise buildings, but it was like I guess the claustrophobia of being detached from nature was
And there were
making people-
suicides.
Yeah, suicides.
I find like outside of Western culture deals with suicide in art very differently.
Yes.
I watched this like Bollywood film, and there was like 3 suicides in the film, and it was like Bollywood. So it was like musicals.
Yeah.
And, like one of the musicals led to the discovery of a suicide victim.
And the
like
thing
it's
is,
like the song like
our
kind of
sui-
fades
and
out.
that's
It's just
the
a
thing,
guy hanging. And you're
maybe,
like, what?
You know what? And maybe that's part of the issue is that we refer to somebody committing suicide as a victim,
Yeah.
and prior to them taking their own lives, maybe we don't refer to them as a victim.
I mean, obviously, there's like been a bit of chat of that recently because there's been a couple of deaths in the comedy
Yeah.
community, and like, I think people like don't, like mental illness, like treat it like cancer.
Yeah, we don't
Like-
really understand it. And the thing is, I've spoken to comedians and stuff about like some friends and close friends about suicide attempts and stuff. And for me, there's never been. I don't think there's any shame in it or a suicide attempt. And I think I have a theory on both things you're saying because I think because Abrahamic religion obviously has guided a lot of the mechanics of our society. So particularly in Catholicism, if you take your own life, you're supposed to go to hell.
Well, it's a sin.
It's a sin.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, I think there is a socio-political reason for that idea because Catholicism is very much rooted in the military because it's the Roman Empire, which is prior to Catholicism being, a part of the Roman Empire. Like purgatory didn't exist, for example.
That's interesting. I didn't know
Purgatory is like an
development.
idea that really is has its roots in Catholicism.
Yeah.
And obviously, they say the reason why is because, because there's such a military aspect to their culture. It's like, thou shalt not kill. That's very hard for someone who is a soldier
Of course.
to rationalize. So then if they introduce the idea where, okay, well, if you have some unresolved sins, there is a place you go as a waiting room which washes you of your sins until you're deemed worthy of going into heaven.
And it's like, cool.
So you're like, okay, so I can go back to killing people knowing that
talk to that guy, kill
Yeah.
some more people tomorrow.
kill some people, and then when the time comes, and I think the same thing. So with the suicide thing is because I feel with the Abrahamic religion, I think a large part of Abrahamic religion is very much about the monitoring and the restriction of the womb.
Right.
And
Okay.
I explain that. So there are theories that, like, for example, when you drink the blood of Christ, that it's the shape of the goblet or whatever you drink from
Yeah.
is very similar to the birth canal.
Okay, that's
and
interesting.
obviously the people way people dress and stuff like that. But and the fact that no sex before marriage,
Mm.
and this is my own radical theory in that, given the time, you kind of have to be aware that we're there. And for me, this is as far, even with the whole patriarchy in general, is that you have to remember that within every woman and their womb, they can all potentially raise an army,
Sure.
which means that if you are a ruling class, which is normally a minority by numbers, if the working class can produce more people at a fast rate, then that's more people that can potentially be indoctrinated with that family's own ideology and potentially overthrow you.
Sure.
Which is why no sex before marriage means that typically or historically, marriage had to precede having sex and having children.
Yeah.
Which means if the church, which is the ruling institution, is monitoring everybody before they have kids, it's like you have a record of like, well, they're married, so they may have kids, so we can keep an eye on them. They're married, so they have kids. So you keep an eye on all the birthing because it has to go through you.
Well, it structures everything.
Yeah, it structures everything, but it means if for people to have kids, they have to go through you and have you officiate over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like their marriage is like within the church, and then the
Yeah, so
kids are within the marriage. So
they're monitoring.
Yeah.
So
and then you baptize the kids immediately.
there you go.
Keep
So
them in
then
the church.
they have to be, so again, it means, 'cause remember they say if a kid's not baptized before they die, they can go to hell as well.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
giving all these people this complex means that we are able to monitor everyone that's born, and every time someone's born, we can indoctrinate them before they can potentially be a dissident from our.
Yeah.
I think so.
Get them early. Get them
Get
young.
them early. Yeah. And whereas Eastern Orthodox religions, they have obviously things like reincarnation, or like like to Japanese, like suicide is quite honorable sometimes.
Well, yeah, the seppuku and
Yeah,
stuff
exactly.
like that.
Or
Yeah.
harakiri, whatever people call it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea is, so they're not as adverse to it. Whereas here, it's like if you can kill yourself or control yourself, again, you remove that power of life or death from the institution of religion.
Sure.
So that's why I think there's so much. That's why they're so opposed to it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because like the idea, because if you can kill yourself and you can kill your own children, then you're basically in control of your own life, which you should be if it's your fucking womb.
But they're like, God's got a plan for you. And that plan involves
Yeah,
living.
and God's a father.
To
and
be in the
God's-
church
God's
for
a,
longer.
Yeah, God's a father. God's a man, and so
Were you raised religious?
I was raised, yeah,
Catholic?
A bit of both, Catholic and what's Anglican or Church of England.
Yeah, right.
But even then, I think as a kid, like it was never really a massive big issue. My mom goes to church, but I guess for a lot of Caribbean immigrants, like church provides like there's no members clubs for like black people because it was like no blacks, no dogs, no Irish.
Yeah.
So the church
Nina,
provided a big.
that's it, yeah.
So the church provided a very big opportunity for socializing.
Yeah, that's the same in Australia with the Polynesian community.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, your Samoans, your Tongans, your Fijians. That's where they all congregate, around the church.
Yeah, because that's where you can meet up, and the same with like civil rights. It was all planned in the church and stuff because
Yeah.
we don't really have the institutions whereby we can congregate and discuss stuff, and I guess somewhere nice to meet.
Yeah,
And
it's fun.
Yeah, so it's fun. But like my dad never went to church.
Ah,
Like
okay.
the whole time I've known my dad. Like
No church.
his church attendance has always been like christenings, weddings, and
Yeah,
that's
right.
It. That's it. And his reasoning, he's just like, well, I think he was just like, well, when I was in Grenada, like your priest or your pastor, the pastor was like somebody who was actively involved in the community. So he didn't just go and talk from a pulpit. Like he'd come over to your house and see how you get on with your work. And he actually had to have a regular interaction with the community, which is not as possible in a metropolitan place like London. But he was just like, yeah, it's not really the same.
Sure.
And I think that's part of it. But I also think it's because he works all the time, and so it's like my weekend is my own.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and so it's very easy for me to rationalize. It's like my dad doesn't lie, cheat, steal, abuse anyone or drugs or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
He just lives an honourable life.
lives an honorable life without having to go to church. So I was like, so it can be done.
Yeah.
So it was never really a strong insistence on.
I just know, like, yeah, it's funny when people kind of raised Catholic. I think, like, because that's how I was raised. Like, you just kind of retain little elements.
There's little elements.
That like, it's funny because for example, you know Garrett Millerick?
Yes.
Yeah, I just saw his show and he had this like one joke about why you got to be married by a Catholic priest.
Yeah.
And it was like, because like there's this alcoholic virgin using metaphors about love. It's like an amazing thing to witness. And I just lost my mind during that bit.
cool.
And like no one else really enjoyed it that much, but I was fucking dying.
Yeah, I was definitely raised as Catholic, as was my my manager. She was raised as Catholic as well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she's like, there is no way she would take her husband's surname when they got married.
Yeah.
So I guess so for me it's fine, but like a lot of people I know are Catholic. I guess a lot of people I grew up around were raised Catholic as well. So there are definitely a lot of tenets that I do take on board. But
It's just funny how like you just these things you're like, oh, everyone knows that, and it's just like, no, that was just you guys.
yeah, which is really weird. Yeah, you realize you're like it's really weird. Like and I had girlfriends and stuff, and it's like they were never christened or
Yeah.
like.
Like, what do you mean you didn't
Yeah.
do the communion?
Exactly. You don't have a middle name?
Yeah, where's your second middle name
Yeah.
at?
That's fucking weird. Do you not think that's weird? People without middle names.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
But
How do you work at your lineage?
look, I didn't work it out.
I don't work out either.
Yeah,
I still want to
just-
give the information to the
Neither do I.
government.
The ancestry,
The ancestry,
thing.
yeah.
Oh man, this is how you know that you're talking to another comedian, like all the conspiracy theory shit. You're kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't believe it, but I won't still give them the information.
Yeah.
Like-
I mean, I've volunteered enough anyway. But it's like, do you know Olga Koch?
Yes.
Yeah, Olga's
Russian.
she's a podcast. Yeah, she's cool, and she was just like, when people talk about like being monitored and stuff, it's like if you use something like Snapchat, you're already giving them facial recognition. Every
Yeah.
time you do a BuzzFeed article, you're giving them algorithms to like plot out what kind of person you are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like Westworld.
Dude, I'm like, the one that freaks me out is like when you say something and then it's your next pop-up ad.
Oh, God,
And
yeah.
I'm like, get the fuck out. Like,
Yeah.
because like one of them, like Magnums, right? Magnum ice cream.
Yeah.
Why would I ever Google that? Why would I ever type that? Like, at what point am I like, Magnum? Like, what flavor? Like, fuck off. I know what Magnums are. And I was just like, I was in this room. I'm sitting on the couch. Mary, my girlfriend, sitting next to me. And I'm like, I think I'm going to have a Magnum. Went up, picked up the Magnum, sat down, opened Facebook, bang, first ad, Magnum, sponsored.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's
get
not
the
okay.
fuck
I think that's
out of here.
It's not okay.
And she was like, maybe you Google them. Why
No,
the fuck?
no.
Why would I
Even
Google Magnum?
then, your Google search history should not be feeding into your social media.
And I'm incognito all the time.
Yeah.
Do you have the tape on the camera on your laptop?
I've got a proper slide thing.
Oh,
Not even the tape.
wow.
I've got like a proper thing that sticks on.
Jesus, that's some adult shit.
Yeah. Someone got one for
But
me.
it's good
so.
to be paranoid.
It is good to be
It's
paranoid.
like, don't use your fingerprint to unlock your phone, you fucking lunatic.
Or your face sometimes is tough, man. But it's good to be paranoid. I think
Yeah.
it's very good to be paranoid. I think it's good to question everything. And I say that because it's like
Because you have a podcast
I
called...
got a podcast called Question Everything. Shameless plug. But also,
Beautiful
people.
segue.
But I just think that I also find it annoying when people are able to approach something like religion with so much cynicism. But then if you say the police are corrupt, it's like, how could?
How could they be?
Because human beings work there, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be corrupt.
Everything's corrupt.
Everything's corrupt. Anything involving human beings, anything involving capitalism, it's gonna be corrupt. Why do people think the police are immune to that?
Because this thing, everyone needs their thing
Yeah.
that is pure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everyone needs
Yeah.
their like one institution, their one person, their
Yeah.
one spiritual being.
They do, but the thing is,
Like
I
you
feel,
must have one. You must
I
have
have,
it.
no, but it's myself. I'm working towards that.
yourself.
I'm working towards that. So that's
You
the
clearly
journey.
Grow up in Australia.
That's the journey. No, I did it.
I believe in myself. Fuck off.
Oh, no,
Jesus
growing up,
Christ.
Daniel, growing up, I would never say this shit out loud when I was growing up. You think I told people I wanted to be a comedian when I was
Of
when I was
course not.
younger?
Yeah, you understand the
Fuck
Australian
knows.
experience
Exactly.
to a degree.
Having dreams? Are you
What?
fucking kidding me?
Where's your job?
Unless you, it's this holy trinity of sports, drugs, or entertainment. You shut the fuck up. If
Dude.
you're not gonna rap or sell drugs or play football, shut the fuck up.
Is that Dave Chappelle or Chris Rock? Like
Probably both.
I think it's Dave Chappelle. It's like the commencement speech. It's the only way I've seen it work.
Yeah.
You gotta get to entertaining these white people.
Exactly. You got to shut the fuck up. And the thing is, because of that, I had such a complex about being a comedian. I was so against being an entertainer. I was so against it.
I think I spoke to you about this before.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
find
was-
that really funny because, like, I mean, for me, it's just being like such a middle class, such a kind of academic background that
Yeah.
it's like the idea of being an entertainer is absurd.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just how do you even do that? How do you go from being on the couch to on the TV? I don't know.
Exactly,
But-
because it's so far from me. But people grow up in this shit, and for me, it's even seeing comedians now. It's like, and my dad was to do this and this stuff. I'm like, my dad's a fucking postman, and he used to be a mechanic,
Yeah.
and my mum was a nurse and a youth worker. And so when people was like I loved comedy, but again, I thought that like celebrities were like grown on like in a special hospital. Like I thought people came from special hospitals. Like you
Yeah.
hear about schools like the Brits or like Italia Conti. I was like, I thought all celebrities are like footballers, go to an academy and have a youth training scheme. Then they
Right.
graduate and they enter superstardom.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah.
Especially in this country.
In Australia, I think it's like even weirder. It's like even more specific because it's like our celebrities are just people who don't play football anymore. Like that's all of them. Like they didn't
Yeah.
start out as a singer. It's just like they all played some kind of sport, and now they're talking for a living. Like you couldn't find anyone better at talking than this fucking guy. You
The
kidding
guy who was
me?
never taught how to talk.
Yeah.
Never needed to.
And they told him like, pass it.
Yeah, exactly.
Tackle him.
That
That's
was
it.
it. That was it. And then hit the showers.
I wish that was an exaggeration.
No, I can believe it completely. I can
'Cause you-
definitely believe it.
How do you like Australia actually? Because I remember from memory, you're okay with it. You like tolerate Australia.
I tolerate Australia. Australia is a strange one, man. I think, it's such a strange one because I guess a large part of my experience is through the festivals.
Yeah.
So I think when you're in a hub of creativity, most of the people you're going to encounter are going to be a lot more liberal-minded.
Yeah.
And more
They're gonna be
open, I
like
guess,
you.
to an extent. Yeah, going to be a lot more like you. Whereas I think Australian society is, how to put it succinctly, Australia is just the UK like in the 80s, I'd say.
Like the 80s.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about the UK in the 80s, so I can't confirm or deny this analogy.
You know more than you think. If you grew up in Australia, you know more than you
Oh
think.
my god, it's the same.
Yeah.
But no, I just think we're kind of we're like a teenage country. We're very kind of like
Yeah.
we don't really know what we're doing. We're quite insecure.
Yeah.
And we don't really know what we don't have. I think that's like a very teenage mindset,
Yeah.
like
Exactly, yeah.
because you don't know what you don't have yet. Like as a
Yeah.
teenager, you're like I've got everything.
Of
And
course,
then you're like,
that's what I mean. It's like being in Lewisham. It's like this is it's a labyrinth of violence and fear, and then now I'm like, it's a different world. I don't know what's happening. It's a completely different world. And now I feel like a
oh, do you still live there? Do you still live?
well, I'm like more nearer North Greenwich. I'm nearer the O2, so I'm more in Greenwich now.
Okay.
Which is not that different, but it's like I feel like I guess my experience nowadays is the same way that like when I speak to like Antipodeans from Australia
Sure.
or New Zealand, they're like, "Oh, I live in Clapham. It's wonderful," and I'm like, "Before that was full of junction boys who were all criminals, and again, I couldn't go to there because I'd be in fucking trouble."
That's
So-
what I was going to say when he says Shepherd's Bush was rough. Like that's where we all fucking
Yeah,
live.
exactly.
Yeah.
Shepherd's Bush is that, but Shepherd's Bush. Well, I mean,
Fulham?
again, Shepherd's Bush is a weird one because if you're from Southeast London, which has a large Caribbean population,
Sure.
a lot of your cousins would be in Shepherd's Bush because obviously that's where the carnival's based.
Uh-huh.
So it's got a large Caribbean population.
What carnival?
Notting Hill Carnival.
Uh-huh.
So because it's so
Gotcha.
close by, there'd be a large Caribbean contingent.
So they
a lot
just
of
live there permanently.
So yeah, so a lot of your relatives and
Okay.
your family and friends would be there anyway, depending on who you are.
What's the relationship like between the different Caribbean countries? Are you guys kind of in it together, or are you?
They're in it- apart from historically Jamaica.
Right, they do their own
So
thing.
Jamaica was the largest island in the British West Indies.
Sure.
And so if you imagine the Caribbean like the UK, Jamaica is like London,
Sure.
and the other smaller islands are like the home counties.
Yeah.
In that, and by that token, they can be maybe a little bit more conservative than Jamaicans, a bit more rooted in being a lot more airs and graces.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, very different. Whereas obviously people can be very posh and very rich in London, but at the same time you obviously have a very large working class population
Yeah.
because it's in
There's more of everything.
Yeah, well, you're more of everything. It's more of everything.
Yeah.
But so historically, and this is from my mum. This is not my experience necessarily.
Sure.
So Jamaicans have more of a superiority complex over smaller islands.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're, I guess, it's a larger island.
Yeah.
It has more significance. And also all this stuff about the scandal about the Windrush now.
Yeah.
So the Windrush was the first ship, and the majority of people that would have been brought over in the Windrush would have been Jamaican immigrants.
Sure.
So Jamaicans.
So they were the first wave.
So they were the first wave of Caribbean immigrants, and by that token, were probably and made the effort to be a lot more integrated into British culture. So they would have lived on council estates alongside a lot of Irish people. So a lot of people who are mixed race and have dual heritage will be Irish and Jamaican.
Irish and Jamaican.
Yeah, yeah.
I've met a bunch of Irish and Jamaican people.
Because they used to
And
mix
every
first.
time I've been like, how the fuck?
Yeah, because they'd have been in the same
There you
spaces
go.
because all the pubs which wouldn't allow blacks and dogs and Irish in.
Yeah.
So then a lot of Irish pubs you find have like Caribbean drinking places as well because they had nowhere else to go.
Because they were both not welcome, so they
Yes,
welcomed each
kinda,
other.
Yeah, kind of clicked up. So you get a lot of Jamaicans whose kids would have names like Sean or Kieran.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's such a link
I
between them.
love that shit where you're
Yeah.
like, how, you meet
Yeah, how
half Irish, half Jamaican. You're like,
Yeah, most mixed
What
race
is-
people of my generation, yeah, their ancestry would have been Irish and Jamaican.
yeah, and then it's just like a beautiful, succinct answer. So that's
exa-
why.
yeah.
You're like, oh, cool.
And that's
now,
why, yeah. So
now
they
I've got
used
that
to click
covered.
up. Whereas the rest of the other islands, we all get on, and it's almost like it's like a small private joke that Jamaicans are like, if we were like American states,
Mm.
like Jamaica is Texas.
Okay.
It's like they're loud, brash, and obnoxious and stuff. And
Yeah,
we all
yeah.
have like a joke behind their back, but at the same time, they can also be very welcoming and very friendly and very big on their music. So
Yeah.
yeah, so Jamaica, they definitely had a dominance. So a lot of people would aspire to mimic Jamaicans, and I think a lot of the
I didn't realize a lot of the slang, a lot of the London slang
No,
is
English
all
slang was
Jamaican.
yeah. Almost completely, yeah.
I had no idea. I was
Yeah,
just like, it was like the rude boy thing. I
Yeah.
was like, what a
That's
weird,
Jamaican as well.
use of English. And then people are like, no, it's like a
Yeah,
Jamaican thing.
people say going to their yard, that's Jamaican as well, because that's another name for Jamaica as well.
Right.
So I'd say most colloquial terms that you hear, like young black kids and white kids now using, has its
Hey,
origin
look.
in Jamaican.
We like to learn about other cultures.
There's crossover there as well, but mainly Jamaica is the largest influence, and like I say, it's the largest. They were the largest population for the African diaspora in the UK, but now Nigerians have taken them over, which is reflected now.
Nigeria's the biggest.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then that's reflected in like the culture and the music now, which has moved from being like more grime and jungle is having more influences from like Afrobeat or like Afro pop now, which they kind of call it. So
And have you
it's
ever,
pretty good.
have you ever gone back home, like to
Yeah.
Grenada or anything like that?
A few times, yeah. A few times.
Did you feel at home, or were you just kind of like, well, this is a strange?
At first, you're
little
like, this
place?
is strange. It's like, yeah, at first it's strange. And then you learn to do stuff like you don't take running water for granted.
Okay.
Because my mum's from Carriacou, which is like a smaller island off the coast of Grenada, and it's very rural. It's
Okay.
a lot more industrialized now, but it's again like it's like I guess like the outback, I suppose.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
like a rural. There's
Yeah.
farms. There's
exactly.
There's shortages.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
Yeah,
at the mercy of the weather.
exactly.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Exactly. So, and whereas Grenada's a bit more industrialized. So,
Yeah.
so I've been to both, and but it's cool, man. I mean, at the same time, it's like it's that weird thing, isn't it? Where it's like you're like, oh, what am I doing here? But then it's like people are all working because they aspire to live a life like this, where you know you can live on the beach and the water's crystal clear and like the sand's white and everything like that.
Yeah,
So-
and everything else is just working.
yeah, and everyone's working.
And not
yeah.
even looking at it. You're like, have you guys seen this shit?
Exactly, and no one cares. But
pretty
when you're a kid, it's just like this is so I don't like mosquitoes and shit. And I haven't got a Nintendo. But I've been a few times. I've also actually been, which is rare, I think, for a lot of British Caribbeans, is that I've also been to like not just the British West Indies. I've been to like the French West Indies and the Dutch West Indies.
What?
So,
Can you break this
Yeah,
down
'cause a lot
for
of
a
people don't know this, so
ignorant person?
so
I know about
basically,
the Dutch. I thought,
yeah. So the Dutch West Indies would be like Suriname,
yeah,
Saint Martin, Saint Bart. I'm going to
Okay.
say it incorrectly, but I think it's Curacao.
sure.
Cozumel, Aruba,
Okay.
and Anguilla. So
And
these
that-
that's the Dutch West Indies, yeah.
And then there's the
And Dutch Guyana as well.
Yeah.
And then you have the French West Indies, which would be like Martinique, Guadeloupe, and it would have been Haiti, but they freed themselves.
sure.
And then you have the Spanish West Indies, which would be like Puerto Rico and Cuba and Dominican Republic. So obviously they would have been
Yeah.
because of
And
the
then the
European
British West
paternalism,
Indies was
and the
like
British
your-
West Indies would have been like
You kind of like your cricket,
Windward
your cricket
Islands.
team.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so Jamaica and
Barbados.
Dominica, exactly.
Yeah, gotcha.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's it.
I know stuff.
Yeah, but a lot of Caribbean people don't know that.
Right.
Because obviously, in the same way that I guess it's like a paternalistic relationship. In the same way that like a lot of British people are clueless about continental Europe.
Yeah.
Like a lot of British Caribbeans don't really know a lot about continental Caribbeans. And it's almost the same relationship in that like I've been to like Rotterdam and Amsterdam, and like Rotterdam has a very large like Caribbean population or Dutch Caribbean population.
Yeah, of course.
But they look at like Black Britons in the same way that like continental Europeans look at the British as like very very boorish and very like
Right.
uncultured, and it's quite funny because they think we're fucking animals.
Yeah,
it's
I
so
get
funny.
that. Whenever I go to Europe, I'm like, you think I'm a fucking feral?
Yeah,
don't
they
you?"
think you're a piece of shit. And for me, it was so and for me, it was crazy because like Martinique in the Caribbean is like Black Paris.
Sure.
And I'd never been to a Caribbean island
Yeah.
where no one speaks English.
Right.
That blew my mind.
So what do they speak in Martinique?
Just French.
Just French.
Or Creole.
Ah.
You know, so but I wouldn't expect that, like, because you think it was the Caribbean, so this is always like black people, but they speak English.
Yeah.
They don't. And like, you know, it's like I went to the Dominican Republic, and some of them never even heard of Grenada.
Ah.
So
They just don't.
yeah, so it's very it's very eye opening, and then for me it was like, so my family went on like a cruise.
Okay.
So again, so for me it was just like it really opened my eyes. So just it was great because it was almost like that was my equivalent of a gap year where I get to see how potentially broad even my culture is, because I'd never met in the UK you don't meet people from Belize, you don't meet people from Panama, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard of anyone coming from there. Like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
hear about
exactly, yeah, yeah.
the only reason I even know those places is like where people run away on US TV shows.
Yeah, yeah, or in hip
Taking
songs,
the
yeah,
mistress to
or
Belize.
rap songs, yeah, or like even Turks and Caicos is like, you know, that's the American,
Yeah.
the Virgin Islands,
Right.
So the Turks and Caicos or like Saint Thomas, again, like most British people never heard of these places, but I was happy to find out about it, and like, cause like Tortola is like the British Virgin Islands. Again, people don't really know about stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So it's like with Grenada, it's English speaking majority. Like anything else?
very small contingent of French.
Very okay. And driving on the left hand side of the road, I always like because is it common? Is it still Commonwealth?
There'll
or
be
is
more
it-
right hand. There'll be more right side of the road. So it's CARICOM, but it's I think Grenada's independence was like 1963 maybe.
Yeah.
And I think because of their proximity to America, they probably
Right hand side.
yeah more
I
right. side.
always find that shit like with the Commonwealth and like the ex-Commonwealth really interesting. It's like side of the road currency, Queen's Head.
East Caribbean dollars, but maybe the Queen's Head. Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah.
Because like you know what I mean. It's just that little hangover.
yeah.
That
It's,
you
it's a
wouldn't-
very small hangover. Yeah. Oh, yes, it's still there. It's definitely still there.
Yeah.
Very small hangover that's still there. Like even when you see like Royal Crests and stuff, and
Sure.
yeah, and
Is there
so
still a vibe of like we're part of the Commonwealth or none of that?
it depends who you ask.
Yeah.
I think some people they derive some esteem from being associated with monarchy.
Sure. But
Yeah.
others are just like we're
Yeah.
doing our own thing.
Exactly, yeah. But it's like if your cousins come to visit you, they want to go and see Buckingham Palace and that kind of thing, and you're just like, fine,
If we have to.
again if we have to.
Yeah.
In the same place, but it's like even when people come to London, they're like, I don't know why would you need a car in London? You think, oh, fucking shut up, tourist. Why would you need a car in London? Blah blah blah. You're just like, well, when you see 50 Somalians jump off a bus from Woolwich, wanting to fuck up some ghetto boys, you'll be lucky you got a car. So yeah.
Well, like, I was gonna say, like, do you think of yourself as like? Because I know we got a little bit more time. We're gonna have to move you more quickly now.
Okay, cool.
This has been too enjoyable.
The lightning round.
Yeah, the lightning round. No, because I know that you've got the US passport as well. Is that familial or is that? Did you apply for that?
Both.
Both.
So
Okay.
it was fast track because it's familial as well.
Okay.
Because my mum's sister has been in America as long as I've known her. So yeah.
Because I was just gonna say, because like I mean, yeah, this is I enjoy talking to people because it's always fun to notice your own ignorance. I think
Yes.
that's always a joy.
It's good.
Well, it was like do you know Babatunde?
Yes.
I just met him for the first time on Saturday.
Yeah.
And he was doing this joke about how he's like, I'm in a mixed marriage.
Yes.
He's
yeah.
like, I'm from Nigeria, my wife's Jamaican.
Yeah.
And I know every white person's going like, that's the same.
Yeah,
In my head,
of
I'm
course
like,
they are, yeah.
In my head, I'm like,
It's
yeah.
a massive gulf.
Exactly.
It's like someone from Liverpool being with someone from Manchester, but Nigerians are like the Jamaicans of the continent.
Sure.
Like it's like one of the largest and most populated
They're the two big
countries. Yeah, so they're the
powers.
two big powers. Yeah, exactly. And again, they're regarded as the same. As that like, Nigerians are seen as being like quite brash and outspoken compared to
Sure.
like their neighbors and stuff, like Ghanaians and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, do you like view yourself as like Caribbean foremost, or like black foremost, like?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, growing up, I probably would have made it a lot more nuanced. To be like, I'm from Grenada, but like I said, realizing like at university up north that white people don't know nor do they give a fuck.
No.
Like I don't make it. Such
We
a
don't know
big deal
anything,
to
dude.
I don't make it such a big deal to distinguish myself. But if to ask me accurately, I am a Grenadian of Nigerian descent.
Right.
So my tribal ancestry is Igbo.
Right.
So one of the bigger tribes in like Nigeria.
Okay.
So that's where my family. So that's where we're.
So that's how you
from.
ended up in.
Yeah. So
Grenada. Gotcha.
Grenada, yeah. So I can trace it back. But then on my dad's side, so my dad's granddad is Scottish.
Right.
Yeah.
Like white, Scottish.
Yeah.
Okay.
As in,
Second,
like,
I was-
his wife is like and my dad was like, he saw his wife had like ginger
Yeah.
hair and stuff, and
Right.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
sorry.
so-
It was just like that thing where like the DVD cover of The Last King of Scotland. I was like, fuck. What just happened there?
but white, yeah. So
Yeah.
my dad growing up, like he was really fair and stuff. So
Okay. Right.
yeah, so like he would have stood out in that respect, and
Gotcha.
Yeah, so
But no, it's just because like, I know with comedy and like the way that the industry pigeonholes people.
yeah, massively.
You're like a black guy. You're like the first
It's a black British guy, yeah, black British guy, yeah.
to be
so,
nominated for the Edinburgh thing.
Yeah. So it's a very small thing, but then there's the black circuit whereby there is a platform to discuss these kind of nuances and these differences.
I did one of those rooms.
Which one?
Accidentally at Cafe 1001.
Oh, whereabouts?
That's just down here. It's like
How was that? How did it
it
go?
was fine. Like
Yeah?
I think especially as an Australian person, you get a huge pass. Like they're just kind of like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
Like novelty.
You're
act.
there. I think for some people and for audiences, and sometimes, it can give you like a novelty act, and it can also give you like a boost in that just being a white person that acknowledges the existence of the diaspora.
Yeah,
sometimes that's enough for people. Just the fact that you fucking paid attention.
Oh, that's it. Just like, I think, you know me, like I like talking about black people. And so they're kind of like, hey, he's talking about us. That's nice.
He actually pays attention.
Yeah.
Whereas when you see like comedians be like, I've just moved to Brixton and it's really rough and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's almost as if, it's like, do you know in the Lord of the Rings, when they put on the ring and it's like he disappears with his invisibility? Yeah. That's what is the same as gentrifiers. The plane of existence that you operate in as a gentrifier or as a transplant to Brixton is very different to what Brixton is.
That's an interesting way to put it. It's like not just are you invisible to them, they're invisible to you.
Yeah, it's two different lives. It's like there's like a pub in Clapham, like near, I think it's near Clapham North Station. It's like a real big pub. There's a lot of board games and stuff. A lot of Antipodeans go there. But it's like round the corner from there, that is a state where like this kid Billy Cox was shot to death.
Right.
But they're not going to see that.
Scrabble.
Yeah, they're playing Scrabble, but it's become two completely different worlds.
Yeah. But like, why would they bother you? That's like, I still remember that from like, what is it? I think it's like Tough Crowd. Like, the Colin Quinn show.
Yes, yeah.
It's like Patrice arguing with like Nick DiPaolo or something.
Yeah.
And just being like, black people don't want to rob white people. Like, we don't want to bring you into this.
No,
like,
exactly.
You guys are a pain. Like, the police pay attention. Like, we don't. Why do we want to rob you?
Yeah, we don't want to rob you. Having them around, it makes such a big difference. Like, and like I said, I really want people to understand. Like, when I was growing up, like, you could not be wearing a £100 a Canada Goose jacket, for example.
Sure,
they can be up as much as £900.
Yeah, you
could not wear that on the street by yourself.
Right, someone just be like,
let's picking what would be called
jacket.
Peeled. Yeah, I'll have that, please, if you know it's good for you. Like,
right.
So one of the greatest gifts my parents gave me was poverty. There was just nothing to steal from me.
All your home brand shit is just like this.
Yeah,
is great.
Cool. It's like no one's like, that's a nice hand-me-down jumper from your younger cousin. I love that. But it was interesting actually because I think my parents was very well equipped to interact with guys from a similar background.
Sure.
Because when I was in school, a lot of my friends were like black middle class.
Okay.
So they could make fun of like some of my clothes.
Yeah.
Or if they wear tracksuits all the time. But when you're going to like Turnham Youth Club and everyone's wearing tracksuits, so it's fine. You just fit right in. And then I find out a lot of my friends who are like the guys in school because they have expensive clothes, they're the ones getting the shit kicked out of them on their own area.
Right.
Because the saying is you don't drink champagne around beer drinkers.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. So it's not really nice to flaunt your wealth, and I think that's and I think that kind of has given me a complex, which kind of how it precipitates on Twitter when I'm like, don't think because I'm on TV I won't punch in your fucking face. Because I guess this, the environment that I'm from, whereby as soon as you begin to start believing in your own hype,
of course,
people will bring you back down to earth.
That's that's what Australia's there for.
Just to remind you.
You can be any motherfucker.
Yeah, they don't care.
What is it? Yeah, no, that's. I mean, this is a horrible example, but a great example of Australia. Just like we don't care. It's like Johnny Depp bringing his dogs in. Australia's like, mate, just because you're Johnny Depp doesn't mean you can bring your fucking dogs in.
Yeah, which is good.
Banned him and the dogs or some shit.
It's a great equalizer. But no, I mean, Australia is an interesting one for me because there's a very different narrative, and I think to an extent, as a black person or a member of the African diaspora, we've enjoyed having the monopoly on discrimination for a long time.
It's true.
Because, the soul is forged in suffering, so we've been able to define our existence by everybody hates us because we're the best. But then you go to Australia and you see, like, the difference, like
Indigenous
people, like, that's, like, for me, like, in the game of, like, race cards, which white people think that we play, like, one of the only things that can, I mean, black woman trumps black man, obviously, because black woman, but, like, Indigenous Australian woman or Indigenous Australian, they're way up there too. I think maybe even like Romani Gypsy might be above black man.
Oh,
because they're not even fetishized.
I don't know about that. Like, because
they're virtually invisible. But over here, it's virtually invisible. And Anglo-Saxons, they do not like Romani Gypsies. Like, they don't like Irish travelers and stuff. But Romani Gypsies, so far as like the darker skinned people that try and sell you roses and stuff in central London or play like instruments on the train.
Right. They're just,
oh my God, how they're treated. Like, they don't exist.
Well, that's the crazy one. Because like, at least in Australia, right? There's like not really many groups. Like we just, I remember the exact thing you said, being like, "There's no black people in the country. It makes me feel weird." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, fair enough." Which is true. If you walk around, there is not a lot of black immigration.
But there is some. Yeah, there is some. So I've actually met a few black people from South London in Australia now.
Right. There you go. Well, it's like as a kid, like I reckon until I was like maybe like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't tell you. if I ever saw an African.
Yeah, yeah.
Ever. Or
I can
Caribbean
imagine.
dude.
Yeah, I
like,
can
ever.
imagine.
Like, indigenous people, maybe.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, yeah.
But like, yeah. And just like, but we still try and ignore the indigenous population.
Oh, no, I've seen.
Even though there aren't other groups.
Yeah, no, I've
like,
seen.
At least in America, it's kind of like, the black-white narrative.
There's a very
that's kind of taken it from Native Americans.
And also they're used to seeing African Americans in the home. I think,
Yeah.
whether through chattel or also through just like America's entire experience, they can't avoid black people whether they see them or not.
Yeah.
Whereas there are some people in the UK that will have weird xenophobic views, despite, like, I'd be like, if you're from Barnsley, you can't complain about immigration.
Yeah.
Because everything that is even remotely ethnic ends in takeaway where you are. So you have no need to be worried about immigration whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's also like, do you really want somebody on an English body clock to be making your food at 2:00 in the morning? You need someone that can survive on Sri Lankan time. Because an English person's going to be tired and cranky as fuck.
It's like, I don't trust you.
Of course.
Yeah.
You wouldn't. You guys have been spoiled by like the things like unions and collective bargaining. They don't have that in fucking Sierra Leone. No one has that there. They don't have that in Ceylon in Sri Lanka. They don't have that.
It's not unions from Sierra Leone.
There's not. Yeah, exactly. There's not a lot of unions there. But yeah, Australia's an interesting one because it just opens my eyes to, again, like, not almost derive a certain level of esteem from being public enemy number one and realizing, like, I guess, and really for me, I guess it's the narrative in terms of the fact that even our ideas about race are a social construct. Because my complexion, there are Indians darker than me. There are people from like Guinea who may be darker than I am.
Yeah.
Indigenous Australians, but they may have blonde hair. So even the definition of black can vary considerably. So
yeah, because Indigenous Australians, there's very few who are like anywhere near like 100% ancestry of Indigenous Australians.
Yeah, exactly.
Like most people are mixed.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are recessive.
Yeah.
So like you can't, like, unless they tell you. Like I remember I was in class at university, and this guy, like, we're talking about like adverse possession, which is like if you live in a house for 10 years, then you legally own the house.
Yes.
If it's unbroken possession, adverse possession. And so people like, the lecturer was like, do you think that's valid? And this guy's like, no, of course not. Like, the person still owns the house. Just because you weren't there for 10 years, you still own it.
Yeah.
And the lecturer's like, well, what about this? Like classic kind of lecturer curveball.
Yeah.
And like, what about this? Would you not say that what the white Australians did is in fact adverse possession? And it's kind of like, I mean, that's a talking point. It's to like generate thought.
Yeah.
Ridiculous statement.
Yeah,
like, it doesn't check out at all. But anyway, like, ignoring that, the guy is like, just like he's a white dude, just kind of like, no, obviously that's insane. Like, that's like totally different. Yada yada. Just like, we like, they don't have what is it, like, property? There's like, because there's like the nomadic tribe. It's complicated to explain.
Yeah, but it's the concept of property and ownership is not the same thing. And
yeah, it's just like, they don't have like a kind of historical record.
Yeah.
And then this lady just goes, yes, we do. And everyone just kind of swivels. And it's like, she's like a little bit darker than a white person, but like you'd never would have in a million years picked
But
it.
see, we can tell though. Like,
you
it
can
takes
tell?
one to know one. Yeah, and this is the thing. Like, sometimes I've had almost like hostile discussions with people with like mixed ancestry,
Right.
Because they're passing, and they don't want people to know. Like, I remember my friend, he was working with a girl who was like, had UNC, and she was Indigenous Australian,
Right.
And I was like, I can tell just the features, and like your skin's olive and your nose, and she was like,
yeah.
no, she got real upset about it because a lot of people are trying to pass, and like when you look at the spectrum in terms of racial hierarchy. Obviously, I guess everyone concedes that they're not the same as like a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. However, what happens is that between that and I guess the other extreme of being African and black or indigenous and brown is that a lot of people underneath that rationalize their inferiority by being a lot more vitriolic in asserting their superiority over who they perceive to be lesser races. So that's why you find like sometimes, like in America, for example, like a lot of Irish people were more racist than the Anglo-Saxon Protestants, and they were more, or the Italians were more racist, and they became like the overseers of like...
The LA riots, it was like black people and Koreans.
Yeah.
They were like, fuck these guys.
Yeah.
So
it's it's divide and conquer and stuff, but like, some people become very hostile and they're not aware. Or like, Craig Quartermain, for example.
Yeah.
He's indigenous, but he's obviously quite fair.
Yeah.
And he told me something interesting because he was saying, because I always found it, the consciousness in like Melbourne, for example, seems massively liberal. And you go to the festival and they speak about the land originally belonging to indigenous people and their apologies for the loss of the land.
Traditional owners.
Yeah, acknowledge. Yeah. And I'm like, but none of them are here.
No.
So it's very tough. And to understand why they keep doing this. None of them are here to hear this. And then also I'm seeing on the television, like there's a separate Indigenous Australian channel for their shows.
Yeah.
And they got a separate comedy reservation and their own kind of show. And like, it's like, acts like, like I said, Craig or like Kevin Cropinieri and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, speak to Craig about it. He was like, I think someone said to him, like, you must really like it in Melbourne. He was like, no.
Yeah.
Because Victoria is one of the only places that completely wiped out their endangered population. So,
I
whereas-
didn't even know.
where he's in,
Wow.
where he's in Darwin,
Perth.
Perth. Yeah, where he's in Perth. He's like,
Yeah.
it's all right because, like, places like that, it's like in the outback and stuff, you'll see Indigenous Australians. Whereas Melbourne is built up and liberal as it is. It's like, well, there's no one left here, and it's even like, for me, it's kind of like, you can obviously the narrative of like the civil rights struggle is ongoing and has been for a long time, but then it's kind of like when you consider Indigenous Americans, like it's fucking crazy.
That's what I mean. They're
Yeah,
just
it's-
like, because the
It's
other
like it's not even
narrative is so
discussed. Yeah, so
strong.
it's because the evidence is so strong, and that kind of repeats holographically to an extent whereby because when we talk about like diversity and representation in comedy, for example, it's black and white.
Yeah.
And it's like weird that you see so many liberals who are like spectrums, autistic spectrum, and body dysmorphia spectrum. And it's like, but the spectrum of race is one you can't really see because you'll be like, I don't really see color. But it's like you can dye your hair purple, so you can very clearly see color.
Of course.
But what it means is that for a lot of comedians who do have dual heritage, and the thing is, for a lot of people that are mixed race, like where I've met comedians who may be Persian and Irish, or comedians who are like Egyptian and English, or just so many diverse mixes. And I think for most people, comedy is very much the tool they use to rationalize their existence and for them to like, deal with how their upbringing is very different to everybody else's, because it's very hard for them to get cultural indicators from their parents and stuff. So it's like making jokes about who they are, where they're from, and how confusing it is. You get that from a lot of comedians, but the UK kind of restricts that, because if you're not even struggling to acknowledge the existence of like the African diaspora, it means like I've got a lot of friends who are like one of my friends, comedian like Francis Foster, his dad's from Wigan, his mom's from Venezuela.
Yeah.
But for him to discuss race relations and his own racial background, because he doesn't look like a
'Cause he looks
Latin person, he
super white.
looks super white to most people, to untrained eye. People was like, well, I'm not listening to him.
It looks
Or
like he's in a Blur cover band.
yeah, exactly. You
Yeah.
can pass for it. Or Darius Davis as well. Darius's dad is Persian.
Right.
His dad's called Gobad. Like, his mum's Irish. It's
Go-Bad's
like,
pretty sick.
it's a cool name, but it's
Yeah.
like, again, with Darius, it's like, no one wants to acknowledge that,
Well, no one wants you to be the spokesperson. You know that thing? Like,
Yeah.
like not black enough, not white enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I again, because I'm aware of this, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to travel and see so many more nuanced cultures and stuff. It's like I do try and make it a point of principle whereby if I see comedians who are, I guess, trying to find their place as well.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're cool, and like if you ever want to ask me anything or you need help, then yeah, you're one of us, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So anyone that exists outside of the system or the preferred aesthetic, I try to make them feel as welcome as possible.
Well-
It's like when I go to Australia and stuff, like, like I said, I want to take my time to hang out with comedians who are Indigenous Australians, and people like Craig. They always take time out to spend time with me. But then, as does someone like Akmal Rahman as well. Like, he's obviously he's reached out to me and stuff, and Nassim Hussein and stuff. So these guys, they make an effort, and I want to learn their story as well, rather than having almost like the pretension that like, oh, we were talking about race relations. Well, I'm a black man, so it's gonna be the best you ever heard. But there's an experience of like, all my friend Surin as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Surin's a great guy as well. So it kind of clues me up about like how the world works and stuff like that as well. So
It's just like I mean,
Ronnie Cheng as well.
Yeah, but people like collapse everything. Like Suren's like a Sri Lankan dude.
Yeah.
Who's like his dad? I forget which way it is. It's like Sinhalese and Tamil, so it's like both.
See, yeah, exactly. And stuff that I
but then like they just like wait a second, but can you do like your mum's accent on TV? And he's like, my mum speaks perfect English with no accent.
So he doesn't make any sense.
And they're like, well, we'll call.
Yeah.
And like it's like you want diversity that's convenient for you. Like
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like oh, we got diversity.
Palatable for the audience and that kind of thing as well. Yeah, you see that. You definitely see that a lot. And it's like there are a lot of black people that if you closed your eyes, you wouldn't know they were black. That you see being preferred for certain positions and stuff.
Dude, I like Yeah, it's like diversity on the panel show. Everyone's a different color, everyone's a different gender, but they all went to the same fucking university.
They did.
Like,
And
it's
yeah, exactly.
weird.
It's very weird. And
that's here. That's not.
Oh, it's here. Oh, I mean, of course,
And that's
I
not
worked it out.
America,
And I worked
or
it out.
like-
And I'm going to even give you, because
Here
I'm
we go.
working on the show on this, so I'm going to give your listeners
Inside
some
scoop.
inside scoop. It's because people, not a lot of time they say that class breeds more than race in the UK.
Right.
Not necessarily the case. But what
Sure.
it means is that if you are from a certain background or ethnicity, you are relegated to a certain class. So I've combined those two ideas, and it's placism.
Placism.
Yeah, that people need to know. It's like they want you
That's
to know your
good.
place. So there's a lot of placism in the fact that, like, while you may have there's supposed to be a contingent where we're encouraging, people from who may have certain disabilities or on the disability spectrum, but it's like I've worked with someone like Don Biswas.
Yeah.
And Don Biswas' family, I think he might maybe Southern Indian from Tooting, from Wimbledon.
Not sure, yeah.
Yeah, but Don, he's a brown guy who has dyspraxia, dyslexia,
Yeah.
but seldom seen on television because he's not interacting with this dude, and it's not displayed in a palatable way that makes middle classes comfortable. His friend Stephen, great friend, has supported me for years. Stephen has quite mild cerebral palsy as well, and it's like, well, these guys would be your perfect travelogue. I've been in the car with them, cool guys. It's like,
No.
there's the other people we see, like
gotta-
it's like even Tim Renkow now has a show.
Yeah.
Tim has quite severe cerebral palsy, but it's like, at the same time, he has cerebral palsy, so it helps. But at the same time, it's like, well, how long has it taken for you to realize, like, he's easily one of the best writers in this industry?
Oh, insane.
Easily.
And like,
Easily.
so have you seen him like just nail a heckler?
Yeah.
Like, this is a man who, like, you can't really control his arms. Like, he's
Yeah.
shaking, he has to sit when he performs.
Yeah.
And a heckler will say something, and his sentence comes out, like half the speed?
Yeah,
and
And even that timing, and still nails them. Like, he's
I've never seen him miss.
yeah.
It's just like,
oh, never.
Bang.
Like, this is the guy
And you're like,
who's the makeup of his nervous system means he can't necessarily wear shoes because of muscle twitches.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid of him when he gets on stage because he is that good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
placism is the issue in the UK massively.
Well, look, I don't know, that's the perfect way to leave it. Placism.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be hanging out with Dane Baptiste if I didn't get a new word.
Yeah, I'm working on them. I'm trying to broaden as social media reduces our vocabulary. I'm trying to come up with new shit. So did a podcast recently with Catherine and Ryan on menstruation.
Menstruation.
Yeah, as if the phases of the moon affect men's mood, and do we have our periods? I say yes, but yeah,
Look,
people have to listen
you
more.
got to. That's questions everything.
Yes.
Where can they find you? Come on.
So, guys, obviously you can find me on Daniel's Amazing Podcast, but I also have a podcast with a few of my friends, which is Quotas Full, which is available on iTunes and Spotify
That
and YouTube.
podcast frequently features Ishan Akbar, former guest
Cool,
on this.
so big up
Very
Ishan.
funny dude.
Pakistani Bangladeshi, right?
That's
so
it.
again, perfect example. And also my own podcast, which is Dane Baptiste Questions Everything, which is available on Spotify and iTunes as well.
Nice. Anything else?
And then just gigging and bullshit, really.
What
Usual stuff.
about the? I put the Twitter on, but just say it, just because you're the troll judo.
Oh
Come
yeah,
on, where can they find
you can find me on Dane Bap Tweets, also Dane Snaptiste on Instagram, and you can find a list of where I'll be performing next on danebaptiste.co.uk.
Awesome. Dane, can you? I'm trying this new thing where the podcast needs to end a certain way. Can you say cheers, mate?
Cheers, mate.
Beautiful. See you, mate. And that was my chat with Dane Baptiste. As I said, super interesting guy. Always a very different point of view, I think, like a very alternative take. He thinks about the world in a way that is very foreign to me. And so I always appreciate having a chat to him, if not only to find out a new name for something. Loves a portmanteau, that man. Old Dane Baptiste, that's how you know. His previous show, God, Gold, Oil and Drugs. He has the most acronym-based comedy show names in the goddamn business, and there's a reason why, because he is a weapon with words. Really good chatting to him. Really enjoyed kind of hearing about the gentrification of South London. I think anybody who lives in London at the moment would kind of see South London as like a very gentrifying or even gentrified area, depending on where you are. It's like the cool bit. It's where everybody is buying houses because they're just that slightly little bit more affordable than in the north. Whereas obviously him growing up just, 25 years ago, very different place. Bit more violence. But maybe then again, as he said, I'm just not witness to that because I am a middle-class hipster piece of shit who's moved across. gangs and stuff don't want anything to do with me. I'm just a lot of trouble. But it was also interesting talking to him about Australia, because I'm sure you've noticed a theme in this podcast. You really can't overstate how poorly Australia has treated Indigenous people. And nobody really talks about it. And it's great to finally talk to people and comedians who've seen it a little bit and understand it a little bit. And Dane, as he said, goes out of his way to make sure he has those conversations, which is what separates him from most people who go to Australia or haven't even been to Australia. And the only thing they associate with it is sharks. Yeah, definitely not a concern for anyone from Australia. But great chat with Dane. Make sure to listen to his podcast. He goes deep and he gets some really big guests on there. And the quote is full is a lot of fun as well. Other than that, please do subscribe if you enjoyed the podcast. As always, tell a friend. We're trying to grow this podcast this year. I've got some great guests coming up. And I am sorry again about the lateness. But when you're a one-man band and you're in the mountains, you can't exactly upload stuff. But hey, I'm going to have another podcast with you very, very soon. Grab us on Twitter at The Union Jackoff or on Facebook, The Union Jackoff with Daniel Muggleton. And we'll be back with another brand new episode real soon. All right, jerk-offs, have a good one. I'll catch you next time.